A man, to find out how many leg hairs he has. Arrived at a haunted hospital carrying 3 grenades. Upon hearing this question, the elderly ghost trembled with fear, because if he answered incorrectly, the other party would cut off his own dog's head. He never would have imagined that he, the one who instilled fear in countless others, would become a lamb to be slaughtered at the hands of a man. It all started 3 years ago, when a bizarre world suddenly descended. People were constantly being forcibly dragged into a game world known as Hell. Carry out various terrifying tasks and broadcast them globally. Successful participants receive rewards and continuously grow stronger, while failures have their lives permanently deducted until death. Zhao Yi, a top psychologist, was also pulled into this game. His appearance immediately caught everyone's attention, because his spiritual power is as high as 101%. The current top player on the overall leaderboard, Dragon Emperor Yaoshen, is only at 100. Unfortunately, he was randomly teleported to the Giant Elephant Hospital, which has the highest mortality rate. Just entering the hospital, the data source showed an unknown disorder. Zhao Yi, who had fainted in the operating room, slowly regained consciousness. He got up from the dilapidated iron bed, and stretched his limbs. A flash of something passed through his eyes, a barely perceptible crimson glow. Immediately after, Zhao Yi received some unstable data. The wall is impassable and indestructible. The door requires a security card, unknown shadow, dangerous. This data came from an unknown source, revealed important information, and obtained the access card. Escaping the hospital seems to be the ultimate goal. After Zhao Yi confirmed there was no danger around, he pushed open the door and went out. The lights outside flickered. The walls were covered in decaying mildew. Xiao Chen said. At the door of room 409, he heard some noises. Xiao Chen narrated. Peeking through the crack in the door, Xiao Chen said. He found an old man lying inside, near death. When the old man saw Zhao Yi arrive, Xiao Chen said smoothly. He pleaded, I want to go to the toilet. Xiao Chen narrated. Young man, could you help me up? Zhao Yi didn't answer immediately. He carefully examined the old man. Those unstable data appeared again. Old man Lu, high risk, dangerous, unable to move, slow speed, trap-type monster. His combat attributes are incredibly strong, Little Chen the comic, but he's unable to move and has a very limited attack range. He even has a fatal weakness. Zhao Yi's mind raced. Then he gradually approached the old man, and the old man in the hospital bed. A flash of resentment and coldness crossed his eyes. The live stream chat was abuzz with comments. They mocked the newcomer, calling him an idiot, but they quickly noticed something was wrong, because Zhao Yi not only stopped his movements, but also turned around and went behind the old man. The next second, a sharp scalpel was pressed against his forehead. Old Lu panicked and asked him what he was doing. Zhao Yi looked at him calmly and replied, I'll ask you a question. If you answer correctly, I'll take you to the toilet. I'll chop off your dog's head if you answer incorrectly. Looking at the scalpel so close, almost touching, he could only helplessly agree, because the game's setting prevented him from turning around. The once fierce Chu Meng had become a lamb to the slaughter. Zhao Yi then coldly spoke, how many leg hairs do I have? The barrage was filled with question marks after hearing that sentence. Zhao Yi slowly stabbed down when the other party didn't answer. Meanwhile, old man Lu's face was filled with terror as he continuously begged for mercy. Don't kill me. Ask me one more question. Zhao Yi was silent for a moment before nodding in agreement. Where's the hospital's access card? The old man breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly replied. There are 3 access cards in total. One is with the director, one is in the logistics department, and the other before he could finish. A blade of light suddenly slashed across his throat. Zhao Yi chuckled playfully, sorry to bother you. I don't have that many questions. Ding! Asterisk your soul weapon has touched the resentment of a ghost. Successfully unsealed. The scalpel can inflict additional damage on ghosts. You killed Lu Lao Han and gained a slight enhancement. At this time, a file bag on the nearby table caught his attention. When he picked up the file bag, a system sound followed. Triggered hidden task, Lu Lao Han's last wish. Immediately, the old man sat up. Young man, thank you for freeing me. The file in your hand contains a property deed. That was my only saving grace in life. My daughter, Lu Shui, in order to obtain it, secretly had an affair with the director of Giant Elephant Hospital. She attempted to conspire to kill me, but later, she died in an accidental elevator incident. The matter was thus dropped. I beg you to help me kill the director. In exchange, this property deed will be yours. As soon as the words fell, the system's voice sounded again. Obtained item, Lu Leiahan's property certificate. Quality, green. Seeing this scene, the viewers in the live stream went wild. Wow! Awesome! This newbie incredible. He actually triggered the hidden quest in Giant Statue Hospital. 66,666. So old Lu can't actually move. But how did he know that? Who just said this newbie was an idiot? Please stand up. Although it was a bit of a fluke, it's actually pretty good, amidst the tea drinkers' discussions. A person with a special border in the live stream spoke. Although it was a bit of a fluke, his performance was indeed quite good. His mentality, judgment, and reactions were all excellent. I'm not exaggerating. Could this be Yang Tao, the vice president of the Liaoning Guild? Just checking if the guild is short-handed, seeing how the new recruits are doing. We're not short-handed. Let me have a look, I'm already level 12. Yang Tao responded that they weren't short-handed when he saw this. He just wanted to casually check on the new recruits this year. Then he watched Zhao Yi's every move. He started analyzing again. Old Lu subtly told Zhao Yi earlier. His daughter died in the elevator shaft. This means the hospital's elevator is unusable. Given the current situation, Zhao Yi's best course of action was to stay put. The elevator may have lingering resentment, it's very dangerous. Just as he finished this analysis, he suddenly froze. Because Zhao Yi was heading straight for the elevator with his property title deed, he ran towards the elevator. Zhao Yi stared at the elevator for a long time. Finally, he chose to press the button. Then a prompt appeared. Elevator, low-level danger. A vengeful spirit is inside. Its power and resistance are severely reduced. But it still possesses 5 times the physical strength of a human. You cannot fight it unarmed. A smile appeared on Zhao Yi's lips after seeing the prompt. Most likely, it's old man Lu's daughter who died inside. Were his strength and resistance significantly reduced? Okay then. Thinking this, he strode into the elevator. The viewers outside the live stream started to get nervous. As the saying goes, an elevator is like a living coffin, entering one. In this dangerous world, entering an elevator is unwise. As the elevator descended, the lights began to flicker unnaturally. Zhao Yi kept looking around. Suddenly, a drop of viscous liquid fell onto his forehead. Immediately afterwards, an arm draped over his shoulder. Zhao Yi turned his head to look. A bloody and mangled face appeared before him. But Zhao Yi, unexpectedly, didn't seem flustered at all. He even seemed faintly excited. You're old Lu's daughter, aren't you? Looking at the man before her, she wasn't afraid at all. Lu Shui was stunned. After regaining her composure, she asked, I am Lu Shui. Are you here to avenge me? No. Your father has a special gift for you. It seems to be a property deed, something he left for you alone. He asked me to deliver it to you personally. Lu Shui found this somewhat unbelievable. My father left the property deed to me. He actually left it to me in the end. Zhao Yi saw that the other party had taken the bait, and continued to ask. Why don't you tell me about your situation? Wasn't it an accident that killed you? Why seek revenge, Lu? Shui's aura began to fluctuate violently. Everyone thought it was an accident. It wasn't an accident. The Dean murdered me. He pushed me off the rooftop. She said this, suddenly leaning close to Zhao Yi's face. Help me kill him. Bring his head back. I will give you a generous reward. Zhao Yi smiled after hearing this. There was no system notification about a hidden task. This means the female ghost was deceiving me. Then I guess there's no reward. But it doesn't matter. Thinking this far, he scratched his head as if he hadn't noticed. He asked the Dean if he had any weaknesses. Lu Shui continued, he's the strongest ghost here. But you could also say he's the weakest. He's unlike other ghosts. He doesn't know he's dead. If you can make him realize he's dead, his obsession will disappear. The power will also disappear. The female ghost finished speaking. Zhao Yi then handed the property certificate and the sphere below it, to the female ghost together. I understand. The property certificate is yours. I'll go find a way to help you get revenge. Lu Shui was unsuspecting. He readily accepted the thing Zhao Yi gave him. Zhao Yi, meanwhile, hummed a tune and quickly left the area. He kept fiddling with the grenade's pin. After a brief pause, a loud explosion rang out. The live stream viewers were once again dumbfounded. After the grenade exploded, only the head of the female ghost in the elevator remained. This scene deeply shocked the viewers watching the live stream. WTF, isn't he a perverted psychiatrist? Why are you carrying a grenade? Yang Chao's eyes lit up, instantly piqued his interest. Brilliant. The property deed is the female ghost's obsession. Use this to attract its attention, and let its guard down. After all, most players when facing a ghost, Little Chen, all he thinks about is escaping. Just a short time, Little Chen. He already has the desire to exceptionally bring Zhao Yi into the guild, Little Chen. On the ground, Little Chen. The blasted and mangled skull is becoming increasingly ugly, Little Chen. Lu Shui stared fixedly at Zhao Yi, filled with immense hatred. Little Chen. You dare to plot against me? Zhao Yi didn't answer. He grabbed the female ghost's head and lifted it up casually. Then he suddenly threw it far away. Hey, your head is so bouncy, isn't it? Having said that, he patted his hands in disgust. It's just stuck with some. Zhao Yi took out his rusty surgical. The female ghost watched this scene. Extreme fear appeared in her resentful eyes. Don't kill me, please. Piercing pleas for mercy echoed incessantly down the corridor. My knife is quick, it won't hurt. Zhao said this, his face contorted in a crazed expression. Then, slowly, he plunged the scalpel into the female ghost's skull. Soon after, the female ghost stopped screaming. Ding! Asterisk the scalpel was stained with the ghost's blood. Something has been awakened. Your soul weapon has evolved, and your attributes have been amplified. After dealing with the female ghost, Zhao Yi felt completely refreshed. Weapon, after the amplification, his strength also increased by 5 points. At this time, the sound of Dida footsteps came from afar. Zhao Yi stood up and slowly turned his head. A figure appeared before me. An old man whose body was rotten and only half remained. A strange smile was still on his face. But when he saw the incredibly terrified female ghost's head Zhao Yi was carrying, the smile instantly vanished from his face. Is there anything I can help you with? Zhao Yi politely stared at him and asked. Hearing this, the old ghost's hair stood on end. Immediately afterwards, he turned around and ran away frantically. Damn it! This guy is too damn scary. No, I have to run faster. Seeing that ghostly thing turn and run away like a wolf, the live stream instantly exploded. The number of viewers also skyrocketed from the initial 101 people to over 60,000. I'm F********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** scared away the ghost. Are you sure he's a psychologist and not a psychopath? Zhao Yi released the ghost's head at this moment. After his strength increased from 2 to 5, he clearly felt a significant increase in his strength. Feels great. So crazy. Then he went to the hospital's ground floor lobby. Having successfully found the map he needed, he continued to search. Following the map, he arrived at his next target, the security room. He just opened the security room door. I found several corpses inside. I need a certificate to inform the director that he is dead. There are security cameras in the security room. Maybe there's a printer too. The first thing Zhao Yi did after entering the security room, he took out his own scalpel and cut the bodies on the ground one by one. Then he arranged them in a row with flowers. This action sent chills down the spines of many. This guy must have some kind of mental illness. Yang Chao, however, could understand such behavior, because in the newbie dungeon, the power of individual ghosts is severely restricted, so they'll choose to play dead to ambush players. Zhao Yi's method, though cruel, leaves him without worries. Everyone agreed after hearing this. But is this really something a newbie can do right after entering the game? He's calmly washing his hands. He's actually calmly washing his hands. Calmly washing his hands. After finishing everything, Zhao came to the desk. He logged onto the computer, opened a web page, and searched. Finally, he found some old news about Giant Elephant Hospital. He captured screenshots of some key images. He printed them all out. After confirming everything was correct, he was about to turn and leave. But he suddenly remembered something and turned back. Then he took out a scalpel and stabbed each of the ghost heads on the table. Everyone was stunned by this scene. They didn't understand. Zhao Yi let out a long breath after finishing everything. He muttered to himself, I knew I forgot something earlier. This way, you shouldn't be able to revive, right? After Zhao Yi finished all this, he let out a long breath and walked outside. The corridor at this time was incredibly eerie. In the cold, damp environment, an unnatural black mist permeated the air. Ding! Ghost mist detected. He can create fear and lower the player's sanity, but it has absolutely no effect on you. After seeing the prompt, Zhao Yi pondered for a moment. Then, without hesitation, he strode into the ghost mist. The oncoming black gas obscured his vision. I also heard snippets of mysterious whispers. What's the point of you living? No one in this world loves you. You'll die in this game. For ordinary people, these whispers are a form of mental pollution. But Zhao Yi didn't act, because long ago, he could hear countless terrifying whispers every day. From the moment he woke up until he fell asleep, he never had peace. Those voices, far more extreme than the whispers in the current passage, each one carries extreme malice. So, for Zhao Yi, this place feels incredibly familiar, like he's returned home. He calmly strolled through the fog. He soon arrived at the end of the corridor. At this time, some faint cries came over. Little Chen's rambling. Ding! Side quest triggered. Little Chen's rambling. Help the crybaby fulfill their wish. Little Chen's rambling. Zhao glanced at the prompt. Little Chen's rambling. He was immediately interested. Little Chen's rambling. Little Chen's rambling. Then he followed the sound and went over there. The scalpel was in his hand. Manhwa Xiaochen. He arrived at room 1007. Manhwa Xiaochen. The cries clearly came from inside. Manhwa Xiaochen. He tried turning the doorknob. Manhwa Xiaochen. He found it wasn't locked from the inside. Manhwa Xiaochen. Outside the live stream Manhwa Xiaochen. The audience was getting tense. Manhwa Xiaochen. I can't breathe. As soon as Zhao Yi opens the door, he's as good as dead. Those few seconds felt like years. Manhwa Xiaochen. Just as everyone was watching intently, Manhwa Xiaochen. Zhao Yi let go of the doorknob. Manhwa Xiaochen. Xia Chen cautiously backed away a few steps. His gaze fell on the top of the door. Door, extremely dangerous. Maybe damaged. Although the displayed data was simple, it was enough for him. He immediately took out his scalpel. After a couple of gestures, he suddenly plunged it into the wooden door. Knife after knife, he didn't know how many times he stabbed. Quick, accurate, and ruthless, he displayed it perfectly. At that moment, a shrill scream came from behind the wooden door. Seeing this scene, the audience outside the live stream couldn't help but feel a chill down their spines. Damn, isn't this newbie a little too aggressive? I'm starting to worry about the dean. Damn it, I'll have to be more careful if I ever meet him. I think he's a madman. After dealing with the door-opening ghost, Zhao Yi stopped what he was doing. Ding! You killed the door-opening ghost. Your soul weapon has been enhanced. Hearing the prompt, Zhao Yi glanced at his scalpel. He found no obvious changes. Clearly, the enhancement was very slight. But even a small mosquito is still meat. Something is better than nothing. Scarlet blood continuously seeped out from under the door. The extremely dangerous warning on the data display had also disappeared. Zhao Yi then felt relieved and pushed the door open to enter. At this time, the crybaby inside was cowering in the corner, trembling. It had seen everything that just happened. Ding! Crybaby, intermediate danger level. Zhao Yi approached slowly, scalpel in hand. The terrified crybaby immediately screamed, "Don't kill me." Invisible sound waves instantly rippled outwards. This is the crybaby's most proud attack method. Normal people would definitely go insane hearing this. However, for Zhao Yi, with a mental strength of 101, Manhwa Xiaochen, it wouldn't have the slightest effect. The audience outside the crybaby's live stream were all very curious. Manhwa Xiaochen. His next move. Manhwa Xiaocheng. He went over there. Will he kill the crybaby directly? Manhwa Xiaocheng. It said that the crybaby has other attack methods. Manhwa Xiaocheng. Zhao Yi, approaching, slowly crouched down. Manhwa Xiaocheng. He reached out and stroked the other's head. The others didn't expect such a heartwarming scene. Manhwa Xiaocheng. Such a decisive person. Little Chen's rambling thoughts actually has a tender side. Little Chen's rambling thoughts. At this moment, a woman swirls her red wine glass, beginning her analysis. His overall direction is correct. Little Chen's rambling thoughts. First, shock the ghosts. Little Chen's rambling thoughts. Then, by soothing Manhwa Xiaochen. This way, you can build trust with the spirits. Manhwa Xiaochen. This is important for completing the side quest later. Manhwa Xiaochen. It will be a great help. WC. The red infant goddess is here too. Manhwa Xiaochen. After the group of gentlemen heard the sound Manhwa Xiaochen, he immediately rushed over and said, Xia Chen, goddess, can you give me an autograph? Goddess, let me get you a drink. Excuse me, goddess Hongying, are you still looking for spare tires? If not, would you mind having one more? Seeing this, Hongying frowned slightly. A single word, pa, was softly breathed from his mouth. The goddess scolded me. I'm going to save the recording and listen to it 10,000 times. Hongying didn't bother with them. She continued to watch with great interest. The newcomers in the Bone Zone today are really interesting. I just came from another rookie streamer's live room. This guy beat the Hunter game in only 46 minutes. He broke a record that no one had beaten for 3 years. This rookie named Zhao Yi is no simpleton. Let's see what this side quest is. The crybaby calmed down quite a bit after being petted just now. It asked hesitantly, "You're not here to kill me, right?" Zhao Yi didn't answer. He continued to lovingly stroke its hair. This reassured the crybaby that the other person meant no harm. So they relaxed their guard and recounted their ordeal. I've been here so long, and finally someone has come to help me. My mother was seriously ill at the time, and this hospital told me they could save her. But it requires a huge amount of medical expenses. The crybaby continues its story, but it doesn't know. Zhao Yi has already gripped the scalpel in his hand. His body also adjusted its posture. This posture is more suitable for exerting force. Thinking to this point, he suddenly raised his arm. In an instant, it slashed through the opponent's neck with devastating force. The crybaby was stunned, unable to believe it. With a poof, in a flash, scarlet blood splattered everywhere. Zhao Yi didn't stop his movements. He instantly delivered a few more blows to the crybaby's head. Only when the other person completely stopped breathing, did he relax and let out a long breath. The audience outside the live stream were once again shocked by Zhao Yi's actions. I'm numb. Damn. This way, without buying the key information, he won't be able to complete his side quest. Hongying goddess analyzed it. This guy simply doesn't play by the rules. Manhwa Xiaochen, Zhao Yi doesn't bother caring what others think. The crybaby is the ultimate danger, Manhwa Xiaochen. This means Manhwa Xiaochen. It also has a certain Manhwa Xiaochen means of self-harm that's clearly effective. Manhwa Xiaochen. For safety's sake, it's best to just kill it. Manhwa Xiaochen. As for the side quest, it's not within his considerations. Manhwa Xiaochen. Manhwa Xiaochen. Ding. Killing the crybaby's soul weapon upgrades. Xiao Chen's comic strip. Zhao Yi immediately began searching the room. Obtained item, the crybaby's diary. Xiao Chen's comic strip. He flipped through the diary, and its contents appeared. Xiao Chen's comic strip. Xiao Chen's comic strip, November 12, sunny. Mom's condition worsened again. Xiao Chen's comic strip, I'm still writing to earn money. Previously, because of taking care of Mom, I fell asleep while writing late at night. Xiao Chen's comic strip, my perfect attendance bonus this month is gone. I'm begging the editor to be lenient. The editor said he can't do anything. I'll take on extra work this weekend. I hope I can get enough money soon to cover Mom's surgery fees. On December 12th, I took a job delivering takeout. It's from Manhwa Xiaochen, but I hope I can earn enough for my mother's surgery. On December 17th, it rained for over 10 days. The whole town was flooded. I fell while delivering takeout today. Today's money is gone. February 9th. 3 months of continuous torrential rain. I can't do food delivery anymore. What am I going to do? My mother's illness has worsened. What should I do? March 18th, thunderstorm. What exactly happened to this town? How did I suddenly become like this? The streets are so deserted. Where did everyone go? Zhao Yi closed the diary. I didn't get any useful information from it. Wait. He suddenly remembered a sentence from his diary, hoping to save enough for Mom's surgery soon. Mother's surgery. Zhao Yi muttered the words a few times before turning and leaving the room. The crowd outside the live stream room were very puzzled. Why did he go in another direction? That's a general ward. Not the director's office. Ah. What is he doing? Is he exploring the map? Just as everyone was speculating, Boss Yang Chao gave the answer. He is eliminating options. The crybaby mentioned serious illness and his mother many times. This suggests the side quest is related to his mother. So, as long as we find the crybaby's mother, we can continue the side quest. A creaking sound echoed from the damp floor. Zhao Yi stopped as he passed a ward. He paused. He finally found it. The door slowly opened. Zhao Yi strode in. There's only one female ghost on this ward. It's clearly the crybaby's mother. Now she's found her target. Next, I just need to interact with the target to get useful information and continue the side quest. Amidst the discussions, Zhao Yi politely asked with a smile, "Hello, Little Morning. Are you a Zhao's mother, Little Morning?" A Xiao is the crybaby who signed the diary, Little Morning. The female ghost was surrounded by a chilling aura, Little Morning. She turned her head and gave a deathly smile, Little Morning. Then she spoke a few words intermittently, Little Morning. I'm A Xiao's mother. What's the matter? Zhao Yi's face lit up with excitement. Great. I finally found you. Excuse me, but, is your husband or a relative in the hospital? After a moment of silence, the female ghost answered, What do you want? What do you want? As she spoke, her hair began to grow wildly and eerily, extending towards the doorway like a phantom. Clearly, she wanted to keep the other person there. That's good. Xiaogu, narrator. Zhao felt relieved after hearing that. Xiaocheng, narrator. That way, I don't have to run around anymore. Xiaocheng, narrator. Running around looking for people is quite troublesome. Xiaocheng, narrator. As soon as he finished speaking, he pulled out a grenade and threw it. Xiaocheng, narrator. The female ghost was stunned on the spot after seeing it. Xiaocheng, narrator. He realized he wanted to throw it away, but it was too late. Zhao waved his hand and quickly walked outside. The moment he closed the door, a huge fire erupted. The entire building shook violently. Everyone in the live stream was completely dumbfounded. Yang Tao, who had just predicted Zhao Yi's movements, was suddenly embarrassed. As the smoke gradually dissipated, Zhao Yi pushed open the door and went inside again. The female ghost on the hospital bed had been blown to ashes. Everything around was in ruins. Everyone felt a chill down their spines after witnessing this scene. What's this? A normal person. Shouldn't they try to extract information from the female ghost? Continue with the side quest. Instead, he gave her a grenade upon meeting her. He even asked if the other party had family. Clearly, he was aiming to kill the whole family. Yang Tao once again analyzed Zhao Yi's intentions. This newcomer is terrifying. His way of thinking is truly abnormal. This hospital is so small, it's easy for a ghost to find him. To prevent retaliation from the crybaby's family, he proactively murdered the entire family. Is this person a psychologist or a psychopath? Now I can finally go to the director's office with peace of mind. Zhao Yi muttered to himself and turned to walk towards the rooftop. All the nearby ghosts hid themselves, trembling with fear. He was terrified that Zhao Yi would kick open his door. After searching, he came to the dean's door. Even before entering, he felt a deathly aura. Through the broken glass, he saw a body swaying in midair. The hospital director, Ding Juxiang, is extremely dangerous. Don't try to confront him directly. Zhao Yi thought for a moment after that. Then he took out a previously printed sheet of paper from his pocket. Then he found a pen. He took the document and circled some of the content with a red box. After doing all this, he directly taped it to his own face with transparent tape. With a bang, the door was kicked open. Zhao Yi walked in, suddenly feeling a sense of impending death. The dean, at this moment, growled and turned to look at him. A pair of pale hands instantly grabbed Zhao Yi's neck. He was then lifted high into the air. This boss's attack was too fast. There wasn't even a chance to fight back. The dean's mouth split to his ears. His gaping maw was about to swallow the other person whole. And at this moment, he inevitably saw the piece of paper on Zhao's face. On it were several words and images that had been specially outlined. March 6th. All personnel are dead, without exception. After seeing this, the dean seemed to recall something. The strength in the hand choking Zhao Yi's neck was rapidly weakening. Manhwa Xiaochen. I'm dead, I'm dead. Manhwa Xiaochen. Impossible. The dean, muttering, gradually went mad. Caption about Xiaochen. At this moment, Zhao Yi took out his sole weapon, the scalpel. With lightning speed, caption about Xiaochen. He used the fastest strike of his life. He directly pierced the dean's forehead. Caption about Xiaochen. Zhao Yi, having done all this, and Xiaochen, fell back to the ground in a sorry state. Ding. You have slain the instance boss. Soul weapon enhanced. Attributes have received a small increase. After the increase, Xiaochen. His power has also changed from the original 5 to Manhwa Xiaochen. At this time, Manhwa Xiaochen. Everyone outside the live stream was utterly amazed. Manhwa Xiaochen. The pre-printed paper from the F key was used in this way. Manhwa Xiaochen. Why did he kill the boss so easily? Manhwa Xiaochen. Dodge. Manhwa Xiaocheng. Because he absorbed the energy from the house ghost. He gained a weak chaos damage ability. Chaos damage ignores resistance, evasion, and damage reduction, therefore dealing full damage to all units. Is chaos damage a kind of advanced attribute? Zhao Yi secretly memorized this special attribute. He then looked at the still swaying dean. He directly pulled the scalpel out of the other man's forehead. After dealing with the dean, he started searching the office. Judging from the crybaby's diary, this town was once invaded by a mysterious force. The headmaster, such an important boss, should have some special information. The records in the crybaby's diary piqued his interest in this world. The giant elephant hospital and the town clearly suffered an invasion by some mysterious force. It's hard to say what exactly happened to leave it like this. He won't be entering this instance again, so now that he has the chance, he still wants to explore and understand what happened. He found a security card and a letter in the drawer. He took out the security card and put it in his pocket. Then he opened the letter and looked at it. The handwriting on the letter was messy. The tone also revealed a sense of urgency. Old Chen, I've contacted the authorities. I bribed the guards in town. Gu Xian town is no longer safe. Xiao Chen. Go to the station at the south gate. A black pickup truck is waiting for you. Don't delay, things might change. Zhao frowned slightly after reading the letter. He refolded the letter and put it back in the drawer. The letter was sent from outside. There was no signature on the letter. The sender clearly knew what happened in Gu Xian town, but things still exceeded his expectations. This dean, Lao Chen, still died in the hospital. After searching again and finding nothing, Zhao Yi turned and left. He quickly arrived at the hospital's main entrance. At this time, the sky, Xiao Chen's rambling, crowds of crows circled overhead. Wandering dark figures were everywhere. He couldn't make out their bodies or features. He carefully made his way through the shadows. He reached the outermost fence. Suddenly, a distorted figure appeared ahead. He didn't know when. The strange humanoid figure. The other party stood motionless, its back to him. At the same time, Zhao Yi saw a string of data appear before his eyes. After seeing the data prompt, he instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Name unknown, extremely dangerous. Don't let him out of your sight. Otherwise, terrible things will happen. Whether it's the data before him or his body's instincts. They tell him, this thing is completely beyond what he can handle now. Could there be a hidden boss? Zhao Yi cautiously took out his scalpel. Then he moved carefully, tiptoeing. Afraid of disturbing the other party, he stared intently at the distorted figure. He didn't dare to relax in the slightest. After circling around the figure, he successfully swiped his access card. A beep sound. The rusty iron gate emitted a harsh scraping sound, like a machine that hadn't operated in hundreds of years. Zhao Yi watched the figure and slowly retreated outside the iron gate. A thick fog blanketed the outside. Nothing was visible. Obviously, this beginner dungeon doesn't want to reveal more information. After Zhao Yi gently closed the iron door, he slowly retreated into the thick fog. Ding! Dungeon cleared successfully. Teleporting now. With the sound of the prompt, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterward, the thick fog completely obscured Zhao Yi's body. He also disappeared into the fog. After Zhao Yi left, the distorted figure finally moved. His body, which had been like a puppet, suddenly raised his head, coldly staring at the direction where Zhao Yi disappeared. He also finally completed the instance and was teleported out. Ding! Congratulations, player Zhao. Main quest, Escape from Giant Elephant Hospital, completed. Hidden quest, Old Man Lu's Last Wish, completed. Side quest, The Crybaby's Wish, failed. Story exploration, 88%. Reward received, 25 experience points. Received item, Old Blue's property deed. Title obtained, Ghostly Fear. As the prompts continued to sound, the crowd outside the live stream instantly erupted. No one expected a newcomer to actually achieve an S+ rating in the Hell Difficulty Colossus Hospital. Zhao Yi's expression remained calm. After the rewards were credited, his level reached 2. His level reached 2 after receiving the rewards. He obtained 7 Spirit Martial Arts and Lu Leiahan's property certificate. A small fan, a rambling tale. At this time, he returned to the safe zone, the Eternal Night Camp. This so-called safe zone isn't a real place in the traditional sense. It's a virtual platform. Here, you can watch players' streams. You can also trade items with each other, and exchange dungeon strategies. Manhwa Xiaocheng, or share some difficult problems and experiences. Manhwa Xiaocheng. Zhao Yigong opened his message bar. Manhwa Xiaocheng. 2 options popped up. 1. Please select the guild you wish to join. Do you want to create a guild by yourself? He didn't rush to make a decision. He wanted to understand the basic situation first before deciding. Friend requests were overflowing. Many of the names were a noble gold color. Nearby players gasped in surprise. Changyuan Xiaocheng. Dude, who are you? So many large guilds are inviting you to join. Seeing Zhao Yi's bewildered expression, he began to explain. Those large guilds hardly ever recruit newcomers. Extending an invitation to you is incredibly exceptional. Just by joining a large guild, you can access a wealth of resources, quickly completing major world quests, greatly increasing your survival rate in this game. Zhao waved his hand after listening, indicating that he wasn't interested in those for now. Then he opened the mall and began to observe. There were many items. Not only were there various ghost-subduing artifacts, but also mysterious potions to enhance himself. Each item had its required points for purchase listed below. Points are obtained by playing instances. Zhao Yi then opened the leaderboard. The leaderboard has a total of 5 rankings: newbie guild, leveling, rich, famous, and powerful. Currently, he's ranked high on the newbie leaderboard, thanks to his S+ rating. He also browsed through other rankings. After understanding the general situation, Zhao Yi then inquired about the guild. It turned out that after players entered the game, they would be unable to return to their original world, but instead be assigned to a new one, and with your teammates. That place is dangerous, barren, desolate. Players need to cope with all sorts of dangers. The best way to survive is to join a guild. Act together with your teammates. After watching, he carefully reviewed the currently explored world map, finding that it was all filled with locations of slacker guilds. The closest to a familiar area was Guxian Town, the small town mentioned in the giant statue hospital director's letter. Zhao Yi's eyes lit up, and he immediately became interested. Shortly after Zhao Yi clicked apply, the other party replied, "We're a garbage guild. We have no resources." Zhao Yi smiled slightly after reading it. He didn't care about those things at all. He was just interested in Guxian Town. Meanwhile, in a remote corner of the world map, in a dilapidated apartment building, a woman with a seductive pose was staring at the information before her. That's interesting. This year's newcomer list. They actually firmly want to join our guild. As the words fell, Manhwa Xiaocheng, a middle-aged man in Taoist robes, walked over. Manhwa Xiaocheng, blessings abound, heavenly venerable. Manhwa Xiaocheng, this guy, Manhwa Xiaocheng, didn't receive any invitations from top guilds, Manhwa Xiaocheng, or are the newcomers this year just too bad? Manhwa Xiaocheng, can't get those old-timers interested. Manhwa Xiaocheng, a woman tossed her hair and lazily spoke. Manhwa Xiaocheng, in a dungeon like the Colossus Hospital, with its ridiculously high difficulty, achieved an S+ rating as a newcomer. What do you think? Hearing this, a strange glint flashed in the old Taoist's eyes. Xia Chen said, then why would he choose our guild? Xia Chen continued. The woman then relayed Zhao Yi's reply. Xia Chen continued. He said he's very interested in Guxian Town. Uncle Quan, any advice? Hearing this, Xiao Chen muttered. The middle-aged man called Uncle Quan muttered to Xiao Chen. He closed the book in his hand, muttering to Xiao Chen. Guxian Town seems to be related to our world quest, right? You guys never do the world quests. All you do is fight and kill. Manhwa Xiao Chen. After all this time, the guild is still in this sorry state. Manhwa Xiao Chen. The new recruits are almost all gone. Manhwa Xiao Chen. The woman chuckled. Isn't that what you taught them? A rotten apple spoils the barrel. Don't blame us. Quan Shu felt embarrassed upon hearing this. Let him in. Rare to have a newcomer. Remember, everyone in our guild, don't bully the newcomer. The woman licked her lips after hearing that. A gleam appeared in her eyes. She replied, okay. Everyone was stunned when the system prompt popped up. They couldn't understand Zhao Yi's choice. He threw away a winning hand. Why not go anywhere else? He had to join such a trash guild. Such a pity for this guy. What a shame. I heard the leaders of the top guilds all praised him. Everyone praised him. I never thought I'd do such a thing. Meanwhile, in the ruined city's chaotic streets, in a luxurious building somewhere, Yang Tao carefully examined Xiao Yi's file. He had actually joined a guild full of thugs. This newcomer is truly unusual. Just as he was pondering, a woman in a business suit knocked and entered. Vice President, someone has unearthed information about Xiao Yi's original world. The information has been uploaded to the Eternal Night Camp. Here is the original file, please review it. Yang Tao took the documents and quickly scanned them. Then he asked questioningly, he's very famous in the industry. The woman replied, yes. He has cured nearly 1,000 patients with severe mental illnesses, and it was a complete cure, without any sequelae. Whether that person has depression or violent tendencies, their psychology is severely distorted and pathological. However, everyone who has been treated by him is always cured. But strangely, the patients he cured all forgot the treatment process. Memories related to his treatment mysteriously vanished. So, within the industry, no one usually calls him by his real name. Instead, they gave him a special nickname, the Angel of Forgetfulness. Instead, he chose a garbage guild full of good-for-nothings. A guild full of good-for-nothings, located in a remote corner of the world map. It's also the poorest, coldest, and most dangerous place. Xiao Yi arrived here, and saw a sexy woman standing at the entrance. Is this the territory of the All-Thug Guild? Xiao Yi curiously asked. After hearing that, the woman took off her sunglasses. What? Don't we look like thugs? Oh, right, I haven't told you yet. My name is Lu Ruqing, and I'm an auditor for the guild. You can call me Sister Lu. Lu Ruqing said this as she turned and walked into the building. Small talk, Xiao Chen. Sis, I'll take you to meet the other guys in the guild. Zhao responded and followed behind her. When Lu Ruqing pushed open the dilapidated door, everyone in the hall looked over. Among them, many had strange smiles on their faces. Lu Ruqing paused, then casually introduced Xiao Chen. She began to introduce Xiao Chen casually. The guy with the black-framed glasses is our guild leader, Xiao Chen. You can call him Uncle Quan, Xiao Chen. That icy beauty is Meng Jiao, our vice-guild leader, Xiao Chen. Try not to chat with her. She won't respond to you. Manhwa Xiaochen. As for that damned charlatan Taoist priest, Jiang Xiao, Manhwa Xiaochen. His favorite thing is swindling people. Manhwa Xiaochen. You must be careful not to fall for his tricks. Manhwa Xiaochen. Hearing this, Jiang Xiao, with a darkened face, immediately began to explain. Lu Ruqing. I, Dao Yi, am knowledgeable about everything from astronomy to geography, fortune-telling and divination. I never overcharge a single cent. How did I become a charlatan? He spoke while squeezing next to Zhao Yi. Come, I've arranged a room for you. We usually live on the top floor, the 7th floor. Newcomers live on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors. Your room number is 404, old Dao. I specifically applied for it for you. It's very auspicious. Zhao immediately nodded his head in thanks after hearing this. Jiang Xiao chuckled. It's nothing. Once you're here, your family, to be able to stand out amongst millions and make it onto the newcomer list. We have high hopes for you. Ah. Lu Ruqing shook her head upon seeing this. Don't trick him. I'll take him to the dormitory. Then she took the initiative to go upstairs. She quickly arrived at the door of room 404. After binding to the room, this room will be your safe room from now on. No one can enter except with your permission. Lu Ruqing finished speaking and had Zhao Yi stand by the door. At that moment, a blue light shot out from the peephole. Ding! Soul information collection complete. Then, the door slowly opened. The scene inside came into full view. It was very clean, tidy, and had a private bathroom. Hot water is available 24 hours a day, but food and water must be scavenged from the abandoned train station 2 kilometers away. Lu Ruqing's eyes flashed with a gleam as she said this. It requires at least level 3 to enter. Your level is insufficient. Sister, may I offer you some? Zhao quickly nodded and said, thank you, Sister Lu. You're welcome. Lu Ruqing waved her hand and turned to leave. Come to the living room tomorrow night. Sister, I and the new recruits who just joined. Let me briefly explain the process of the hellish game. Oh, and she suddenly remembered something. She added that places outside the apartment should be avoided for now. It's unsafe. Saying this, she swayed her hips and walked out. Meanwhile, in the Blowing Horns and Connecting Camps Guild, Yang Tao fell silent for a long time after receiving Zhao Yi's information. Then he arranged for a woman to summon the demon ball. Hearing this, the woman hesitated slightly. Vice Guild Master Ball had, in the last dungeon, killed all the other players. Now, because my kill count is too high, I've been locked in the killing field. I can't get out for 3 days. Yang Tao glanced at the calendar beside him. I still have time. I can wait a little longer. He rested at the guild for a night after arriving. The next day, all the newly joined members were summoned to the hall. Zhao Yi also came here in his pajamas. After Uncle Quan scanned the audience, he began his introduction. Everyone's here. Let me just say a few words. I am the guild leader of Quan Hunzi Guild. You can call me Uncle Quan. The world we are in now is a world of chaotic rules. It's called the Chaos Realm. It's extremely dangerous here. Only the guild's building is completely safe. So don't wander around unnecessarily, Xiao Chen. As a player in this hellish game, you have 2 tasks to complete. There are instance quests and there are also open world quests. Manhwa Xiao Chen. Instance quests must be completed once a month, a maximum of twice. And it's worth mentioning, Manhwa Xiao Chen. You'll most likely be matched with other players, Manhwa Xiao Chen, in the same instance. Manhwa Xiao Chen. Murder and mayhem are commonplace. Manhwa Xiao Chen. So don't easily trust anyone. In addition, after you enter the instance, the Eternal Night Camp will have your live streams. Hua Xiao Chen. Try your best to perform excellently. Manshi Xiao Chen. Attract more viewers to become your fans. Manhwa Xiao Chen. At the end of the live stream, Manhwa Xiao Chen. Popularity and gifts will be converted into extra points. Manhwa Xiao Chen. Although it's not much, Manhwa Xiao Chen. It can help some large guilds notice you. Manhwa Xiao Chen. It will also make it easier to switch guilds in the future. Manhwa Xiao Chen. Everyone was a little confused about how switching guilds would be easier. Manhwa Xiao Chen. I've said it, it seems he doesn't care at all. He doesn't care whether the new members of the guild leave or stay. Uncle Quan paused. He continued. As for world quests, they're even simpler. Your systems display them. If you're interested, just follow along. If you're not interested or afraid, don't do it. The guild doesn't force you. Do you have any more questions now? As soon as the words fell, many newcomers scrambled to raise their hands to ask questions. Uncle Quan was speechless at the sight. He adjusted his glasses and left directly. Since everyone has no objections, let's end the meeting. Several people who were still raising their hands, upon seeing this, were instantly dumbfounded. Are the veterans of this WC guild so irresponsible? I feel like I've gotten myself into something I can't get out of. You applied to join this lousy guild, don't blame others. Ah. I followed the #1 player who applied to this guild. That's why I'm here. Zhao Yi sat alone on the sofa, lost in thought. Actually, everything about the game can be found in the system. Whether they explain it or not makes no difference. What left him speechless was how slack the guild members were. They didn't even pretend. I haven't touched any of the world quests. It's been 2 years since the guild was founded, and I'm still stuck on the introductory quests. But that's actually okay. I can experience the plot's progression from the very beginning. Let's see exactly what happened in Guxian town all those years ago. Then Zhao Yi opened the world quests. The first one that appeared was a tutorial quest. The objective is to collect food and water at the train station. Recommended level 1 to 3. Quest reward, 2 freedom points. Description. You suddenly wake up, finding yourself in the terrifying land of eternal night. Your goal is to escape from this place. But before that, you need to figure out how to survive. There's a map attached. Zhao glanced at the map. He found that the apartment building was only 2 kilometers from the abandoned station. Although the distance wasn't long, 80% of the station was in shadow. These areas are irrelevant to the mission. The potential dangers are likely to exceed level 1 to 3, so we can't risk it now. Anyway, the guild warehouse still has plenty of food. We can't eat it all anyway. The most important thing now is, it's still best to quickly level up and gain points. Then I'll go to the mall and exchange them for the items I need. Having thought this through, he clicked on the instance matching on the system panel. Ding! Match successful. Instance, Ghost School Horror. Player Zhao rewarded, 75 experience points. Yang Lin Lin, Zhen Tao, Lu Bai. Side quest, Breaking the Curse of the University in the Fog. Main quest reward, 75 experience points. Side quest reward, Substitute Doll. Difficulty, Hell. Introduction. I successfully gained admission to Shirshan High School, a top-tier school in the city. However, after spending some time at school, you suddenly discover something is wrong with the school. Something about this school doesn't seem right. Then, a flash of white light appeared. Inside a classroom at Shirshan High School, a girl slowly opened her eyes. After she entered this instance, the live stream's popularity quickly reached over 1,000 viewers. So beautiful. The beauty's popularity is just high, although she has only experienced 4 dungeons. But I've watched her grow. Yeah. She'll be my goddess from now on. At first, she was just a rich girl, a vase. Now she knows how to use her brain. She's really improved a lot. Yang Lin Lin opened the system interface. Her face instantly turning pale. Hell difficulty. How could I be so unlucky? This is only the 4th instance, and I've already encountered hell difficulty. The last instance was on normal difficulty. It almost killed me. What am I going to do about this hell difficulty instance? The more she thought about it, the more of a headache it became. A total of 25 life points. I died 3 times in the previous instance, deducting 5 points. I only have 10 points left. If I die again, I'll only have 5. That would put too much pressure on my next dungeon run. After all, once my life points hit 0 in the dungeon, I'll be dead for good. Thinking about it, she couldn't help but feel a surge of fear. Right, and my teammates. She suddenly stood up and scanned the room, looking for my teammates. Maybe one of them is quite strong. But moments later, she was utterly disappointed. I saw in the crowd, 3 people with labels appearing above their heads. But this guy's level is even lower than hers. Young Lin weakly slumped back onto the bench. It's over. Those 3 are the newest of newbies. I can't rely on them at all. Are we really going to get nothing today? Especially that Zhao Yi, he's still looking around suspiciously. Forget it, I have to rely on myself. Looking at the time, it's lunchtime now. If nothing unexpected happens, then, there are 10 minutes left before the first afternoon class. I have to take advantage of this time, to exchange contact information with them. So young Lin took action. She called the 3 of them to the playground. Because she had the highest level, so it naturally became the captain. Listen, we are now facing unprecedented difficulties and dangers. In the next 7 days, we must strive to work together in unity. Only then is there a chance to survive. What are your thoughts on this instance? Hearing this, Juntao and Lubai helplessly shook their heads. We just entered the game, we don't have any information. What opinion could we have? We're completely clueless. Zhao Yi, meanwhile, surveyed the nearby classrooms. I've noticed something unusual. The classrooms on the first floor aren't full. Each classroom has about 46 seats. But the number of people in each classroom doesn't exceed 23. That's a very interesting phenomenon. But what does it foreshadow? Young Lin then looked at the alert Zhao. She asked him if he had any thoughts. The name Zhao Yi seemed familiar. Juntao muttered to himself involuntarily. Then he suddenly raised his head, as if he had thought of something. He said to Xiaocheng, aren't you? Manhwa Xiaocheng achieved an S+ ranking in the Giant Elephant Hospital dungeon on Hell difficulty. Newbie leaderboard. The other 2 were stunned after hearing this. Manhwa Xiaocheng, number 1 on the newbie leaderboard. Manhwa Xiaocheng, amazing. This is a top player who rose to the top among tens of millions of people. Manhwa Xiaocheng looked at the 3 of them staring at him with burning eyes. Zhao Yi then asked them a question. Do you still remember your seats? Young Lin excitedly replied, I do. What's wrong? The other person is his lifeline. Zhao Yi didn't answer. Instead, I turned to look at the classroom. Nothing. Class is about to start. Let's go back. If nothing unexpected happens, quite a few people should die in our classroom today. Right, remember to sit in your own seat. Don't sit in the wrong one. Hearing this, the 3 of them instantly felt a chill down their spines. Manyu, Xiaochen. Young Lin noticed that Juntao looked unwell. Manhua, Xiaochen. She asked him what was wrong. Manhua, Xiao. Juntao spoke haltingly. Manhua, Xiaochen. I seem to have forgotten my seat. Manhua, Xiaochen. Brother Zhao, is this important? Manhua, Xiaoju. Zhao turned his head to look at him after hearing that. I'm not sure if other locations are dangerous, but our starting point is definitely safe. Within a short period of time, if you really can't remember, you can recall the reference points you remember. A large number of viewers flooded into the live stream at this time. This much heat. 300 rings, it truly is the top ranking, huh? Come off it. A broadcast of a ridiculously easy dungeon like she's. Zhao Yi is really just a big unlucky guy. It's a pity he left the newcomer recommendation platform. Zhao Yi's popularity just vanished. Forget it. Which newbie gets this much attention right after joining the game? 300 people is a lot, okay? Only 300 people. This time, without the system's help to weaken the ghost's power, it's gone. He's relying on his little clever tricks. This time I'm going to see how he dies. The school bell rang. Let's go back. Having said that, they immediately rushed back to the classroom. Stand up. At a boy's command, everyone stood up in unison, ready to welcome the teacher's arrival. Zhao Yi glanced at the people around him. Instantly, crimson data reappeared in his pupils. This classroom was full of ghosts. Except for his teammates, there wasn't a single human. Fortunately, they were all displayed as neutral units. I won't attack others without reason. A moment later, the door was pushed open. A woman in business attire walked in. Today, we're having a math exam. As her voice fell, the surrounding ghosts trembled in fear. The female teacher is a trigger-activated neutral unit. She remains neutral until her hunting conditions are triggered. This unit will remain neutral until then. After the hunting conditions are triggered, this unit's power will surge. It will revert after killing the target. Zhao Yi frowned upon seeing this. The trigger is neutral. Is this trigger related to the exam paper in her hand? Or is it related to their seating arrangement? Or maybe both are related. As the terrifying female teacher enters, the atmosphere immediately becomes incredibly oppressive. Now, I'll begin distributing the exam papers. Having said that, her gaze swept coldly across everyone. The exam time is 50 minutes. No talking or moving around is permitted during this time. After she finished saying this, Zhao Yi clearly noticed. The fat ghost in front of me. was trembling constantly, but what exactly was he afraid of? The female teacher then began to distribute the exam papers, from the first to the last. Even the empty seats were given a paper. Zhao glanced at a nearby seat. He found the exam paper on it was completely blank. However, on some other seats, simple questions appeared. Looking at the questions, Zhao couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. He didn't know any of them. Then that's the only way. He quickly wrote his name and student ID number. Manhwa Xiaochen, leaving the rest to the eraser. Manhwa Xiaochen. Exam discipline was quite poor. Many people were looking around. Some even directly asked their deskmates. Manhwa Xiaochen. What should I choose for question 3? Is your exam question the same as mine? The female teacher doesn't seem to care. She's diligently checking the students in the classroom on the podium. Zhao Yi frowned upon seeing this. The exam hall is in such chaos, but the invigilator doesn't care. Could it be that the trigger conditions are unrelated to exam discipline? But, Little Chen the comedian. The classmate in front seems to be trembling even more. Little Chen the comedian. At this time, young Lin Lin turned to look at him. Little Chen the operations. Learning that Zhao Yi was the number 1 on the newcomer leaderboard, she placed her hopes of survival on him. Because someone who can kill their way to the top out of tens of millions of people can't possibly rely solely on luck. He must have extraordinary abilities. Let's see what he's doing. No way. He doesn't even know how to do such a simple problem. Do I still need to decide by throwing an eraser? Young Lin Lin's heart began to flutter again when she saw this. Suddenly, the female teacher's voice came from the podium. Don't look around. As the words fell, a chilling coldness instantly filled every corner. All the students dared not make any more small movements. Zhao Yi also counted on his fingers and seriously worked on the questions. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 7 is 21, 4 times 6 is 24. Soon he finished all the questions on the paper. Meanwhile, the female teacher began her patrol of the examination hall. A blood-stained axe was slowly drawn. Her face began to tear and contort. It was terrifying. Let me see which students will be punished. Having said that, the female teacher began patrolling with the axe. She stopped as she passed Jintao. Jintao's hair stood on end the moment she stopped. His whole body trembled. He dared not even breathe, holding his breath. At that moment, his heart pounded like 1,000 horses. The shadow of the axe fell precisely on the exam paper. Jintao gripped his pen tightly. He was completely tense. His heart was in his throat. He dared not turn around, nor make a sound. Did I sit in the wrong seat? No, it shouldn't be. Name of person/character. If I remember correctly, these are the stationery on the table. Manhwa Xiaochen, please don't kill me. Manhwa Xiaochen. He was inwardly collapsing. He was terrified, as if his soul had left his body. Manhwa Xiaochen. His mental strength was dropping at a rate of 3 points per second. Seeing this, everyone outside the live stream understood. Manhwa Xiaochen. This kid's done for. If his spirit level drops any further, he won't last the first day. Young Lin Lin, because of fear, her spiritual power is also continuously dropping. Some of her admirers have also started to worry. But Zhao Yi is completely different. He doesn't seem to be affected at all. Is he a monster? His mental state is as steady as an old dog, and he's still number 101. I admire his mental fortitude. But I just looked at his exam paper. He didn't answer a single question correctly. Xia Chen's comic. Jintao's mental strength continued to drop. It soon fell below 50. Xia Chen's comic. He was now in a semi-conscious state. Xia Chen's comic. At this time, the female teacher suddenly left his side. Seeing this, Jintao finally breathed a sigh of relief. He slumped onto the table. Immediately afterwards, the female teacher came up behind Zhao Yi. An overwhelming sense of pressure followed. Zhao Yi seemed to sense a strong killing intent. He raised his head. He offered a harmless smile to the female teacher. Exclusive tip, the female teacher's neutral trigger is activated. Even after I made such a mess, she's still neutral. It seems disrupting the exam discipline really can't trigger her to kill. So even if she really wants to kill, as long as the conditions aren't met, she just can't do it. Zhao Yi suddenly understood a little. In a way, the female teacher is the safest ghost in this classroom. But now it's safe. But now she's safe. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be safe later. Zhao Yi hesitated and reached for the scalpel in his pocket. I'm not sure yet if I can kill this female ghost. What are you looking at me for? It's exam time, hurry up and answer the questions. The female ghost, wielding an axe, glared fiercely at Zhao Yi. Zhao Yi pondered for a moment before deciding to hold back for now. What are you looking at? Do I have something on my face? As the female teacher spoke, she moved closer. Her terrifying mouth stretched all the way to her ears. A tongue, coated with foul-smelling saliva, suddenly shot out a long length. Zhao Yi saw this and his brow furrowed slightly, but he quickly recovered his usual composure. No, I just think you, teacher, are quite pretty. I just saw a female ghost that had fallen to its death. My face was completely ruined. It left a deep scar on my young heart. Hearing someone compliment my appearance, the female teacher's beauty instantly returned to its peak, and she showed a surprised and shy expression. Is the teacher really pretty? No. It's exam time. Don't try to get chummy with me. Hurry up and answer the questions. Having said that, she raised her pale, cold hand, and placed it on Zhao Yi's head. At this moment, the chubby ghost in the seat in front, his body trembled uncontrollably. He kept repeating, "Don't kill me." From the beginning, he had been suppressing his fear. This scene immediately caught the female teacher's attention. She instantly craned her neck, leaning closer. At the same time, she coldly stared at him. For the first time, he raised the axe high. Seeing this, the fat ghost's hair stood on end. He immediately fell to his knees and begged for mercy. "Teacher, give me another chance, please." He hugged the teacher's legs and wept bitterly. I promise I'll never do it again." Before I could finish my sentence, the female teacher's axe fell. With a crimson blood splattered everywhere. A round head then rolled to Zhao Yi's feet. Zhao Yi was slightly stunned for a few seconds at this sight. Then, he slowly extended his leg. With a loud thud, Xinghuo Xiaocheng kicked the head away. It happened to roll onto Zhentao's desk. Their eyes met, and Zhentao was instantly terrified, on the verge of wetting himself. He hadn't recovered from the female teacher's fear yet. His eyes rolled back. Li Ma immediately foamed at the mouth and collapsed on the table. The viewers outside Manhwa Xiaocheng's live stream were laughing hysterically. Only Zhentao was getting beaten. Luckily Zhentao passed out. But luckily he passed out, otherwise his condition would continue to deteriorate. I'm afraid. Manhwa Xiaocheng, I'm afraid he wouldn't even have a chance to die. Xiao Chen was instantly classified as a dungeon monster. Having dealt with the fat ghost, the female teacher turned and glared at Xiao Chen. She coldly stared at Zhao Yi and Xiao Chen. Zhao Yi didn't hesitate. He immediately stood up and handed her the test paper. The female teacher then accepted the paper. Then he gestured with a sweep of his arm for him to leave. Get out. Disturb the exam discipline again, and I'll cancel your exam eligibility. Zhao chuckled after hearing this and quickly responded, okay. Young Lin Lin watched his departing back with unusual feelings. Leaving already? After leaving the classroom, Zhao's smile instantly vanished. I understand a little now. The exam ended after 40 minutes. Several people gathered together. Young Lin Lin felt rather helpless. This is hell difficulty, no matter how you look at it. Can't we be a little more stable? Lu Bai echoed, yeah, boss. Your actions just now were incredibly dangerous. You almost scared Jintao to death. Zhao laughed and explained, I was just testing the teacher. It turns out that as long as you don't trigger the death point, then this female ghost's tolerance for us is quite high. Death point. This immediately caught the three of them. Big brother, please elaborate. Zhao Yi then looked around, making sure no one was around, before whispering his analysis. Have you noticed? That female ghost kills people according to rules. Several people heard this and were puzzled. What rules? Isn't she randomly selecting a lucky person to be beheaded? Seeing their bewildered expressions, Zhao Yi waved his hand. Come with me to the playground. The view is wide open there. During lunchtime, I observed a total of 8 classes. Careful observation reveals that the number of students in each classroom in the teaching building is less than half the number of seats. Furthermore, the further forward the classroom, the fewer students there are. After I handed in my paper, I went upstairs to the second floor to check. I found that the situation on the second floor was exactly the same as the first floor. But our class is in the classroom on the third floor, on the very edge. Many seats were already empty. The number of students in our class decreased, but the other classrooms on the third floor didn't have fewer students. Young Lin Lin was even more puzzled after hearing this. What does this suggest? Zhao Yi replied, his brow furrowed slightly, supposing the students' deaths were caused by some kind of curse. Then the curse would spread from the first floor, like a virus, infecting class after class. It's now spread to our class. This curse has created a certain rule, and anyone who breaks this rule will die. Is that rule related to exam discipline? Jintao and Lu Bai hugged each other in fear. Zhao paused and continued, think about it. I just yelled loudly. I kicked the head of the classmate in front of me. It definitely disrupted the exam order. But even so, the invigilator didn't lay a hand on me. Instead, it was the chubby kid in front of me, who inexplicably got his head chopped off. So he must have done something that triggered the death point. And the deceased classmates must have all done the same thing. If you are observant enough, you will find that the exam papers and drafts on the empty desks are all blank. Some students' papers were also blank. Young Lin Lin seemed to understand something upon hearing this. I noticed that too. In the end, the female teacher dealt with those students who left their papers blank. There were 7 of them in total. A total of 7 people. Could that blank exam paper be the trigger for death? Zhao shook his head after listening. It shouldn't be that simple. The exam paper isn't the death trigger. Judging from my last completed instance, even a hell difficulty instance, Simply completing the main storyline shouldn't be too difficult. The real difficulty lies in exploring the worldview of the side quests and hidden missions. So the main quest of this instance won't be that hard. Jin Tao's lips were pale. His voice choked with tears as he said, "You've said so much. Just tell us directly. Isn't it just a matter of what triggers death? I don't want to die. I just want to get out of here." Zhao Yi touched his nose, a little embarrassed. "Right now, I don't know what triggers death either. Although it's not an exam paper, it should be related to the exam. And there's something I need to tell you in advance." Speaking of which, his eyes suddenly lit up with excitement. "No kidding. It's highly likely that only the 4 of us are alive in this school. The rest are ghosts." Especially after hearing from Zhao Yi that only the 4 of them were alive, Jin Tao was so scared his legs almost gave way and he nearly fainted. Seeing this, the others were speechless. Young Linlin helplessly asked what to do next. This instance isn't time-constrained enough. The pace also seems too loose. She felt a little lost. Or, she felt at a loss. Zhao Yi, hearing this, glanced towards the distant classroom. He replied, "Wait until dark." But why wait until dark? Lu Bai was puzzled. Zhao turned to him after hearing this, addressing Xiao Chen. "Then do you think we, as students, have any extra time during the day to look for the information we need?" Young Linlin thought it made sense. She's worthy of being top of the class. It's actually pretty good. Love talk, little. Then let's set a time and place to meet tonight and have a look. Afterwards, they set the time for after 2 o'clock at the pavilion. To meet up, Jin Tao, having just woken up, raised a trembling hand. "Let me interrupt. Can I not go?" Slow talk Xiao Chen. "I'm afraid of ghosts." Slow talk Xiao Chen. Zhao nodded and replied, "Of course you can. But I have to warn you beforehand." Slow talk Xiao Chen. "Tonight, you'll be alone." Slow talk Xiao Chen. "If you hear or see anything, Manhwa Xiaocheng, don't shout. No one will help you, Manhwa Xiaocheng. Because we're not here, Manhwa Xiaocheng." Jin Tao trembled violently upon hearing this. "Oh my god, oh my god. Is that okay?" Soon, evening self-study ended. Students returned to their dorms one after another. Zhao Yi also walked to his room. He pushed open the door. He was surprised to find that the dorm's conditions weren't bad. Although a little crowded, it was still clean and tidy. Zhao Yigang sat on the bed. Then he heard a prompt. You, whose spirit had been tense all day, finally breathed a sigh of relief back in the dormitory. Then you began to feel sleepy, and quickly fell into a dream that might not be sweet. As the sound faded, he felt himself falling into a hypnotic sleep, as if under some mysterious spell. He didn't know how long he slept. Zhao Yi, who had been sound asleep, suddenly opened his eyes. The dormitory was empty. He was the only one in the entire dorm building. Zhao Yi suddenly had a bad feeling. Something must have happened. He checked the time on his phone. He found that only 3 minutes were left until their appointed time, so he hurried to the meeting place. The surrounding scene had drastically changed. The peeling plaster revealed decaying mildew stains. Desolate and dilapidated, it appeared utterly bleak. Young Linlin nervously paced back and forth. Upon seeing Zhao Yi, she finally relaxed. Just you. Where are they? Zhao Yi replied that he hadn't seen them. Everyone has disappeared. I even thought you were gone too. Young Linlin became a little worried after hearing this. Could they have already been murdered? Zhao comforted her, saying it was alright and she shouldn't worry. We shouldn't have triggered any death points before. They're most likely still alive. Judging from the surroundings, we've probably entered a place similar to an inner world. But that's good news. This will allow us to explore the school more thoroughly. Let's go see what the current teaching building looks like. Young Linlin responded and quickly followed behind. Only by staying close to Zhao Yi did she feel safe. Just as they reached the teaching building, a dark figure suddenly appeared ahead. In the shadows, a pair of crimson eyes seemed to be staring at them as well. Young Linlin fearfully asked what it was. Zhao Yi replied that he didn't know either. But in any case, it wasn't human. Having said that, he strode towards the shadows. Young Linlin quickly stepped forward and grabbed him. Knowing it's not human, why are you risking your life? Zhao Yi immediately explained. If it's a neutral party, it might help us gather information. Young Linlin retorted. What if it's not? He smiled meaningfully after hearing that. Then he pulled out his own scalpel. If it's not, then let's make it a neutral unit. Young Linlin was speechless. At that moment, she felt he was even more frightening than a ghost. The viewers outside the live stream were boiling with excitement. This ing guy, damn it. This narrow-minded guy is really bold. Zhao Yi strode towards the shadowy figure, scalpel in hand. The shadowy figure, initially in a detached state, was momentarily stunned for a few seconds. Then, it dashed into the teaching building. Zhao Yi frowned upon seeing this. The distance was too far. He didn't have time to activate his skill and see the prompt. Don't go. Let's talk. Having said that, he immediately sped up and quickly chased after him. I ran up the dark stairs. Young Linlin, after a moment of stunned silence, quickly followed. Have you always been this brave? She was speechless. Zhao Yi answered, no, actually, I've always been cautious. Careful. You're disrupting the exam in front of the invigilating ghost today. I heard her complaining. Zhao explained without turning back. That's because I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% certain. Little Chen's rambling. The female ghost won't attack me. Didn't you pay attention during the exam this afternoon? Several classmates cheated right under the invigilator's nose. After the invigilator found out, Little Chen was lucky. He only gave a gentle reminder. Little Chen's rambling. This shows a violation of exam discipline. Violating exam rules doesn't trigger the death restriction. Young Lin Lin thought about this for a moment. I really didn't pay attention to that. At this time, Zhao Yi suddenly stopped. Not reacting in time, she bumped right into him. Why did you stop without saying anything? Young Lin Lin's words were only halfway finished. When she saw Zhao Yi making a silencing gesture, realizing something was wrong, she quickly covered her mouth. Manhwa Xiaochen. It was basically impossible to see clearly in the dark. Manhwa Xiaochen. The two of them. Manhwa Xiaochen. Carefully, I came to the door of a classroom. Manhwa Xiaochen. I peered inside through the glass. Manhwa Xiaochen. I saw that the classroom was empty. Manhwa Xiaochen. Suddenly, countless dark shadows appeared. Manhwa Xiaochen. Young Lin Lin was instantly terrified. Her body involuntarily trembled. What are these shadows? Zhao replied that he wasn't sure either. Let's go check our class. Then the two of them said nothing. Proceeding directly to class 8 of the second year of high school, looking through the glass, they found that there were similar shadows inside. The difference is that there aren't as many dark figures down below, and there's someone standing on the podium. Strangely, the positions of these dark figures correspond to those of the people who died during the day. Zhao couldn't help but frown at this thought. Just then, young Lin Lin trembled and pointed ahead. He gestured for him to look. What's wrong? Zhao Yi looked up in confusion. He saw a crimson eye staring intently at them, and that eye belonged to the shadowy figure on the podium. In an instant, the two felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. The hairs on his body stood on end in fear. Realizing something was wrong, Zhao Yi immediately pulled her along. Seeing this, Zhao Yi's hair stood on end. He quickly grabbed the girl next to him and ran for their lives. But as they ran downstairs, a terrifying laugh echoed. A twisted ghost. Something's blocking their path. This is terrifying. How are we going to get past? Young Lin Lin, overcome with fear, felt her heart pounding violently. Her mental strength rapidly plummeted. But Zhao Yi, without a shred of fear, walked over. Young Lily was somewhat bewildered. The next second, Zhao Yi grabbed her arm. Then he pulled her and charged forward. Seeing this, the ghost shifted its body, preparing to greet the arrival of its prey. At that moment, he instantly threw his scalpel. The sharp blade flashed past. In the blink of an eye, it hit the ghost's head. With the sound of the sharp weapon piercing, the terrifying ghostly laughter abruptly stopped. Zhao Yi watched as it fell. A faint smile played on his lips. Because of the previous clues, he knew this was just a low-level, dangerous ghost. Ding! You killed the unlucky ghost who went to the toilet. Your soul weapon has received a slight enhancement. No time to linger. Zhao Yi quickly pulled out his scalpel. Immediately afterward, he took Yang Lin Lin and continued to run. The main gate is just a short distance away. Hurry! It can't leave the teaching building. Zhao Yi immediately reminded her. Hearing this, Yang Lin Lin's eyes lit up. She quickened her pace again. Great! We're almost out. Just as she felt excited, unbeknownst to her, a pair of large hands had reached behind her. The next second, she, who was about to leave, was grabbed by a shadowy figure around the neck. A chilling sensation spread through her whole body. Before she could react, she was dragged back inside by a dark figure. Zhao Yi, who had just reached the door, heard Yang Lin Lin's cry for help. He turned around and without hesitation, threw his weapon. A scalpel. A tearing sound. Half of Yang Lin Lin's ear was instantly sliced off. The scalpel continued its relentless advance. Immediately afterwards, it struck the shadow behind her. A shrill scream followed. The arms released the girl they had been controlling. Seeing this, her adrenaline surged to its peak. She scrambled out. Seconds later, she reached Zhao Yi's side. She finally breathed a sigh of relief. Her body went limp. A liquid flowed onto the ground. She had left. Zhao Yi, seeing this, offered a word of comfort. Young Lin Lin, after hearing this, gradually came to her senses. The pain in her left ear intensified. She touched it with her hand, only to discover her ear was gone. Looking at Yang Lin Lin's tearful and pitiful appearance, Zhao Yi sighed helplessly. It's okay, they'll respawn after the instance ends. Meanwhile, the viewers outside the live stream went wild. Oh my god. My goddess almost died, as expected of the #1 donor. If it were me, I would have run without looking back. He actually still thought about saving people. That flying knife was ruthless. If it had been just a little off target, it would have probably been stuck in Yang Lin Lin's forehead. After bandaging her ear wound, Zhao Yi made a decision that would shock anyone. Then he said to Yang Linlin beside him, "Wait here, I'll go in again." Yang Linlin was completely panicked at this moment. "Are you crazy? You dare to go in there? What if it attacks you? Wouldn't you be walking right into a trap?" Zhao Yi started to explain upon hearing this. "No, it won't. The ghosts in this school aren't free roaming. They all operate according to certain rules. Like the invigilator that chased us just now. I figured it wouldn't follow us out of the school building. Otherwise, it would violate its own rules and suffer unimaginable punishment." Yang Linlin lowered her head upon hearing this. At this moment, she felt a sudden coolness between her legs. "Damn it, I peed myself again. So embarrassing." Then she blushed and changed the subject. "Xiao Cheng's comic. Then you re-entered the teaching building?" Xiao Cheng's comic. Was it because there was some important information inside? Zhao Yi thought for a moment and answered. "Xiao Cheng's comic. I need a class roster." Xiao Cheng's comic. The one the invigilator had was too risky to take. Xiao Cheng's comic. There should be a backup copy in the office. Manhwa Xiaochen. Saying this, he made a move to go inside. Yang Linlin suddenly spoke up and requested, "Can you take me with you?" Zhao Yi looked at her with interest. "Mansi Xiaochen, are you sure?" Mansi Xiaochen. She took a deep breath and answered, "Definitely. You know, if we do nothing, even if we clear the level, the score and points will be very low. Don't worry, I won't cause you any trouble. If we really encounter danger, you just run. Don't worry about me. Just take Xiaochen." Afraid of being refused, she quickly added, "I'll follow you. Maybe I can help sometime." "Alright then." Zhao Yi hesitated for a moment before finally agreeing. Then the two of them entered the teaching building again. Although the ghosts in the corridor were restless, for some reason, they didn't attack them. Yang Linlin asked questioningly, "Why did you go to the third floor just now? To see our classroom?" Zhao Yi answered to verify his guess. The shadows in our classroom were the people who died during the day. Soon, the two arrived at the office on the fourth floor. After confirming there was no movement inside, Zhao Yi carefully opened the door and went in. The room was a bit messy, things scattered everywhere. After locking the door, the two began searching for the roster. They searched while voicing their analysis. During the day, there were 472 seats in total across 8 classes on the first floor. 121 students were distributed across completely random seats. I've roughly noted down all their locations. The positions of the shadowy figures in the first floor classroom just now coincide exactly with the empty seats in those classrooms. If it's just one class, it might be a coincidence. But if it's the same in 8 consecutive classes, I think that's enough to establish a pattern. But to be cautious, I went to the third floor again. There. I saw the chubby boy sitting in front of me. He was slaughtered by the invigilator during the day. Sure enough, I saw a dark shadow in his seat. Now we can reach a basic conclusion. These dark shadows are the people killed by Tian. Yang Linlin felt a little doubtful after hearing this. You said you memorized the locations of 472 seats and 21 students in the 8 classrooms on the first floor. All of them. But you only glanced at them. Ah. Zhao looked up at her questioningly after hearing this. How? Not enough. Yang Linlin didn't know what to say after hearing this. She didn't understand, since they were both people, why the difference was so huge. Yang Linlin was a little puzzled by his guess. But what good does knowing this do us? Zhao Yi immediately explained that it was very useful, because based on this rule, we can make an inference about the rules. People are alive during the day. The shadows at night are in a state of death. The living and the dead cannot share a seat. Otherwise, it's considered a violation of the rules and will be punished by death. Yang Linlin still doesn't understand what this means. But aren't those shadows already dead once? Could they possibly die again? Zhao didn't answer, because he found a roster from the cabinet, and a letter. He put the letter aside and started looking through the roster. It not only listed the class names and times, but also noted everyone's position. Zhao Yi remembered the time displayed in the classroom earlier. Xia Chen's narration, September 14th, which is today. Xia Chen's narration. The seat in front of his own was empty. There was no name there. This meant that during the exam today, that seat shouldn't have been occupied, but that little chubby guy sat here. He realized he was sitting in the wrong seat, but he didn't know where the correct seat was. Manhwa Xiaochen. So he was afraid that he would die for sitting in the wrong seat. Manhwa Xiaochen. Yang Linlin was immediately excited after hearing this. Then let's just take this roster away. In the next few days, won't you know where you should be sitting? Then you'll be able to survive the 7 days. That way, we can survive the 7 days. Zhao Yi poured cold water on this, saying, it's not that easy. We entered the instance on the 14th. We have to survive 7 days in the school. So theoretically, if the daytime hours were continuous, then the copy should have ended on September 20th. But this roster is completely blank for the 20th. Yang Linlin gasped at this. Why? Zhao Yi's mouth curled into a meaningful smile. Because we'll all die that day. Hearing those words, Yang Linlin's hair stood on end instantly. Her spiritual power also dropped significantly. Don't scare me. I'm a scaredy cat. Zhao Yi then picked up the envelope next to him. He found that inside, besides a thick stack of ghost money, there's also a short letter. I'm so sorry, Principal. I'm sorry to have caused you trouble. I will definitely be more careful in the future. I heard that his mother is his only relative. Heart. He probably won't let it go. Please communicate more with the mayor. This isn't much money. This isn't much money. It's just a small token of respect for you. This money. The content inside has been altered. Many key pieces of information have been crossed out. It's clearly too late to send it. Zhao Yi furrowed his brows and began to think. A ding sound echoed in his ears. The outline of a scalpel gradually appeared in midair. He immediately grasped the scalpel and looked at Yang Linlin. The weapon had just returned. Come on, let's go to the principal's office. Before leaving, they quickly put their things back in place. Yang Linlin curiously asked him what he was going to do with the money. Zhao Yi looked at her and replied meaningfully, just in case. Yang Linlin was full of doubts. Can you elaborate? I still don't understand why you took that money. Zhao Yi immediately explained. Regardless of whether the people in this school are human or ghost, they are all acting according to their own rules. The teacher is invigilating, and without special circumstances, we can't leave the classroom for too long. But the principal is different. The principal isn't as busy as the teachers most of the time at school, so he's not as busy as the teachers are. So if he's in his office, we have to figure out a way to lure him out. Yang Linlin's eyes lit up after hearing this. I understand this. But what does luring him out have to do with this money? The words were barely out of his mouth, Xiao Qin muttered. Zhao Yi made a hush gesture, Xiao Qin muttered. Because they had already walked down the corridor, Xiao Qin muttered, and arrived at the principal's office on the top floor, Xiao Qin muttered. The two carefully watched through the glass. Manhwa Xiaoqian. Some unstable data began to appear again. Manhwa Xiaoqian. Its mobility was severely limited, causing it to while running, it must high-level danger. Manhwa Xiaoqian. Its mobility was severely limited, causing it to while running, this clearly isn't Manhwa Xiaoqian. Its mobility was severely limited, causing it to while running a presence that rookies can't directly confront. Manhwa Xiaoqian. Its mobility was severely limited, causing it but its mobility was severely limited. Manhwa Xiaoqian. His motor skills were severely limited, causing him to run with his hands and feet moving together. The principal was counting the ghost money in his hand. He was clearly a money grubber. Stay here and watch it for me. I'll go lay down the money, Zhao Yi whispered before, beginning to act. He planned to lure the principal out of the office with these ghost money. Xia Chen's comic. It took him about 10 minutes. Xia Chen's comic. He spread all the ghost money on the ground. Xia Chen's comic. After doing all this, Xia Chen clapped his hands and returned to the office door. Done. After knocking on the door, you run with me to the rooftop stairs. Then find a place to hide. Young Linlin nodded understandingly after hearing this. She finally understood the other party's intentions. Then Zhao Yi knocked on the office door. As the principal turned his head in confusion, the two had already quickly left. Then the door opened, and the enormously fat principal came out. His head clicked and twisted 360 degrees. But he saw no one. Only a faint smell of urine hung in the air. He curiously began to follow the scent. But after a couple of steps, the ghost money under his feet caught his attention. The principal's lips curled into a sinister smile. He quickly bent down and began to pick it up. Zhao Yi only revealed himself after he had walked a little further away. Let's go to the office and find a file. Young Linlin was a little puzzled when she heard this. File? What file? Zhao Yi immediately explained. The school caused very serious harm to his mother. He even killed his mother. He had just said that. When they saw the ghost that picked up the money was already walking away, Zhao Yi quickly gestured for Yang Linlin to follow. So now we need to find that classmate's file. Let's see exactly what happened. Yang Linlin carefully observed her surroundings while speaking to Xiao Chen. She then asked Xiao Chen, but if it's really as you guessed, this kind of thing that damages the school's reputation, will it also be recorded in the files? Zhao Yi casually opened the storage cabinet and began to analyze. But the student withdrawal will be recorded. Little Morning's Comics. The school. Little Morning's Comics. There aren't many reasons for a major conflict between the school and the student's parents. Little Morning's Comics. It's mainly because Little Morning's Comics of the child's safety, health, or academic performance. Little Morning's Comics. Little Morning's Comics. Shushan High School is a military-style boarding school. Strict school rules. Little Chen's story. Little Chen's story. Fighting is strictly prohibited, and supervision is tight. Threats to student safety and health. Little Chen's story. Almost never happen. Little Chen's story. So it's unlikely to cause a major disturbance between the school and parents. Little Chen's story. even a motive for a physical altercation. Little Chen's story. It's mostly about student withdrawals. Yang Linlin's eyes lit up. She whispered to Xiao Chen, "Of course. Why didn't I think of that?" Following Zhao's examination, he found an interesting person in the files. Chen Xiong, whose grades ranked first in the entire grade, expelled in September. Reason for expulsion, early romance. Such a top student with excellent grades was expelled because of an early romance. He was expelled from school. This made him feel that things weren't that simple. Yang Linlin came closer and gave him two strange looks. "Does the school have a rule to expel students for early romance?" Zhao Yi answered. "I roughly looked through the files of other students who received punishment. The punishment for early romance was always suspension for both parties and calling their parents. Chen Xiong is the only one who was expelled. Such an excellent student normally would only receive a lighter punishment than other students, unless he provoked someone completely untouchable during the process of his early romance." Yang Linlin curiously guessed. Either his early romance partner has a powerful background, either his rival has a powerful background. Zhao leans more towards the latter. After all, someone with such excellent grades usually has a strong sense of self-esteem. Chen Xiong pursued a female classmate, but she rejected him. Chen Xiong persistently harassed her. A female classmate used her connections to force him to drop out. That probability is relatively low. If he were directly rejected by someone he liked, he probably wouldn't continue to pester them. So the second scenario is more plausible. We need to investigate Chen Xiong. Maybe there will be some useful clues. Yang Linlin shook her head helplessly after hearing this. "Where can we check? Our phones are all issued by the school. We can't connect to the internet. We can only set alarms. We can connect to the internet in the computer lab." Zhao closed the locker while speaking. But at this moment, Yang Linlin froze in place, trembling all over. She reacted and tremblingly pointed to the direction of the door. Suddenly, a murderous aura filled Zhao's surroundings. Zhao Yi, realizing something was wrong, suddenly turned his head. He saw the bloated, writhing ghost staring intently at him. "Damn it! The principal is back early." The man, realizing something was amiss, abruptly turned around. At that very moment, the originally bloated and fat shadow, "I've actually become a teenager size." As he stepped into the room, the walls of the entire house began to crumble. Crimson blood flowed out. "You all deserve to die. You all deserve to die." Hearing this venomous voice, Zhao Yi immediately shielded Yang Linlin behind him. Immediately, he took out Lao Lu's property deed from his storage space. "Are you Chen Xiong? We're here to investigate the truth. What exactly happened to you and your mother back then?" The shadowy figure froze for a moment upon hearing the words, "the truth." He hesitated for a second. Then, clutching his head, he let out a piercing shriek. The scream made both of them dizzy. Yang Linlin's health was steadily decreasing. "Xia Chen, I'll fight it." Seeing this wouldn't work, she then took out a hunting rifle from her storage space. I'm not Chen Xiong." Mother Zhang Yapang Xiao, the shadow, sometimes laughed to the sky, sometimes clutched its head, intermittently uttering these words. Then its head slowly began to swell. In a moment, Xiao Chen retreated. Dozens of tentacles with sharp barbs emerged from inside. The two of them watched this scene, their scalps tingling. Xiao Chen muttered, "What the hell is this monster?" Xiao Chen muttered. Yang Linlin's legs trembled like sieves. Xiao Chen muttered, "My hands trembled so much I almost dropped my hunting rifle." Xia Chen's comic. It fell to the ground. The dark figure then walked step by step towards the two of them, seeing that they were about to be backed into a corner and into danger. Xia Chen's comic. Yang Linlin feigned composure. She picked up her hunting rifle and prepared to fight to the death. "Zhao Yi, run. I'll hold it off." Right at the tree where the shotgun was raised, several spikes were already before my eyes. "Quickly dodge." Seeing the situation was dire, Zhao Yi, while retreating, his foot kicked Yang Linlin. The next second, the spike pierced the spot where the two had just been. The ground shattered like tofu under the impact. Yang Linlin, having escaped, fell with a thud against a distant wall. Zhao, who was closer, he was in danger again. Having just landed, he found several more spikes instantly shooting towards him. Their speed was so great that they produced a sonic boom. "It's over." With Zhao Yi's current reaction speed, it's impossible for him to dodge this attack. If he'd been hit by that, he would have died on the spot. It looked like he was about to die. Suddenly, a gunshot broke the stalemate. The shadowy figure howled and was forced to stop attacking. "Zhao Yi, run. I'll cover you." Yang Linlin gripped her hunting rifle tightly. Her eyes were full of determination. "Wow, she's so cool. Even though she peed her pants, she's still my goddess." Taking this opportunity, Zhao Yi quickly regained his footing. Ordinary firearms are basically ineffective against ghosts, but the impact of the bullets still helped him to deflect that fatal attack. Yang Linlin screamed at this moment, firing two more shots at the dark shadow. The shadowy figure hit, stiffened. Zhao Yi, seeing this, didn't run. He seemed to be thinking. A crimson light flared in his eyes. Immediately after, he rolled towards the opponent. This roll drastically closed the distance between them. He pulled out a property certificate at lightning speed. He pressed it against the shadowy figure. At that moment, a sharp spike came down towards Zhao Yi's head. Another centimeter, and his head would have exploded like a watermelon. And at that very moment, the effect of the property certificate finally showed itself. Ding! Old Man Lu's property certificate has been unsealed. Forcibly seals a monster within 5 meters. 10-second cooldown, once per day. Watching the shadow stand there dumbfounded and motionless, Zhao Yi quickly turned his head to look. Run towards Yang Linlin. Run! Having said that, she seized the opportunity, and immediately ran towards the door. The door was now covered in black insects. Yang Linlin raised her hunting rifle and fired. After it was broken, they fled into the darkness of the corridor without looking back. A few seconds later, the dark shadow was released from its seal. The audience outside the live stream were holding their breath. It's over. Can they escape? They immediately fled the scene. After exiting, the two ran for their lives. The distorted black shadow hopped and skipped in pursuit. Because the shadow's movements were clumsy and uncoordinated, its progress was somewhat slower. Seeing this, Zhao Yi swung his scalpel. With a shink, the tip pierced the shadow's heart. Though it couldn't kill this powerful monster, but we can still delay it a little. Taking this opportunity, the two quickly ran outside the teaching building. The distance between the shadowy figure and them gradually increased. After a long while, Yang Linlin panted heavily, saying to Xiao Chen that she couldn't run anymore and needed a rest. Zhao Yi looked around. He found that he had shaken off the shadow. Then he finally felt relieved. Yang Linlin then asked him where he was going. Zhao Yi replied that he was going to check the server room. There were still 3 hours until morning reading the next day. Let's try our luck in the server room. Maybe we can find out what happened to Qin Xiong. Yang Linlin seemed to have an idea at this moment. Right, I also have a shotgun to give you. You'll be able to open a domain later. Use the shotgun now. You can also increase your proficiency in firearms. Zhao Yi accepted it without hesitation and thanked him. This hunting rifle isn't an ordinary firearm from the outside world. It was exchanged in the mall. Although its lethality against ghosts is not high, it can stun them. It's a very precious item for a newcomer. Manhwa Xiaocheng. The live stream comments were buzzing at this time. The crusher sells for 2,000 points in the mall. My goddess just gave it away. Zhao Yi saved her twice. Returning a small gift is only right. After 10 minutes or so, the two of them arrived at the building housing the server room. They found the server room. Zhao Yi immediately pulled out his gun and fired a shot at the door lock. Then, with a snap, the lock fell to the ground. The scene inside was revealed to them. Having learned from the last experience, okay. Zhao Yi then had Yang Linlin watch out at the door, while he strode inside. Then he used the internet to search online for information about Qin Xiong. He frantically hammered away at the keyboard. Yang Linlin couldn't help but ask, how is it? Zhao answered without looking away, their background is very powerful. The information online has all been blocked and cleaned up. But it doesn't matter, I can access the dark web to search. Hearing this, Yang Linlin was a little dazed. The dark web, what's that? Zhao Yi explained that the internet is a garbage dump. Generally speaking, all data that has ever appeared, when it's purged, the code is all dumped into the Black Sea. But accessing the Black Sea's inner chamber is troublesome. It requires prior compilation, trial and error, modification, and then login. Yang Linlin looked at him with some confusion. Were you a hacker before? Why do you know so much? Bai Lipa Zhao listened carefully and answered, I'm a psychiatrist. But my mind can communicate with data. I had a patient before, he was a hacker. He suffers from extremely severe delusions. He tells me every day that he can inject his consciousness into the internet to roam freely in the boundless ocean of code. At first, he was just wandering around in the virtual world by himself. Later, after a period of treatment, finally, we can play together. Yang Linlin's face showed utter disbelief. The barrage of comments in the live stream exploded with laughter. It turns out you're the one who needs therapy. I knew this person was a little unhinged. Maybe they caught it from being around mentally ill people for too long. Didn't you read his file? Zhao Yi must have been joking. Hang out with a mental patient long enough, and you'll catch it. Yang Linlin continued to ask curiously. What happened next? Zhao Yi sighed helplessly. Later, I was the only one left. Because I cured his delusion. Yang Linlin was speechless after hearing this. I didn't expect you to be so good at joking. I almost believed you. At this moment, Zhao Yi's eyes suddenly lit up. Then he snapped his fingers, indicating he had logged in. Yang Linlin was instantly astonished after hearing this. The computer still showed the same interface as before. Could his mind really communicate with the data? But what Zhao Yi saw was completely different. In an instant, a large amount of information flooded his mind. Qin Xiong's mother was involved in a dispute with the homeroom teacher of Class 8, Grade 1, Shishan High School, resulting in an accident. She fell from the third-floor corridor. Resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful, and she died on August 13, 3032. Cause of death, severe brain damage. Zhou Hochen-cheong mixed into the school. He started to mysteriously split his headmaster Liang Ming's head in two with a single blow, and escaped from the school. Meanwhile, the teachers and students of Shirshan High School also began to mysteriously disappear one after another within a month. None survived. Meanwhile, City A dispatched a large number of police officers to search Shirshan High School, but to no avail. Hearing Zhao Yi's account, young Linlin suddenly remembered something. August 13, 3032. A week later was August 20th. In a month's time, it will be September 20th. Isn't that the day our main mission ends? Zhao nodded in response. Yes, the electronic calendar in the classroom displays the date as 3032. That is to say, we've gone back to the last 7 days before the curse. No wonder. The roster only goes up to September 19th. Your guess was right. Everyone will die on September 20th. Young Linlin felt dejected at this thought. I originally got the roster. I thought I was just one step away from surviving this hellish difficulty. Instance. I was so foolish. Seeing him so distraught, Zhao Yi began to comfort him, saying, luckily, it's only the first day. We still have plenty of time. Judging from the current situation, as long as I follow Zhao Yi, my chances of survival are still quite high. Young Linlin took a deep breath and regained her composure. We still have a chance. I must cheer up. The sky gradually brightened a little at this time. A light fog spread from somewhere. Young Linlin keenly sensed something was wrong. It's foggy, Zhao Yi. Hearing this, Zhao Yi turned his head in confusion. Realizing something was wrong, he immediately shut down his computer, restoring it to its original state. Then he rushed towards the door at lightning speed. He grabbed Yang Linlin's hand and fled. Run! This fog is dangerous. This cursed fog constantly drains one's mental energy, until she completely succumbed, becoming a terrifying monster. Yang Linlin's head was light and dizzy. To survive, she quickly bit her own tongue. The intense pain and the blood in her mouth barely kept her conscious, but it seemed to be useless. Zhao saw that she was about to collapse, so he immediately pulled her towards the water tower in the distance. He originally wanted to go back to the dorm, but he could only choose to hide in the water tower. The first floor of the water tower was locked with an iron gate. Luckily, Yang Linlin had given him the hunting rifle roared with the bullets. The iron chain clattered to the ground. Zhao Yi quickly pulled her inside. After settling Yang Linlin, he found some things to block the iron door. Only after he confirmed that the fog outside wasn't seeping in, did Zhao Yi stop what he was doing. The fog is getting thicker and thicker. Some data related to the dense fog appeared before Zhao Yi's eyes. Dingwu high-level danger zone. There are many strange things inside. If you don't want to encounter them, you'd better quickly find a shelter to hide. With the fog's influence gone, Xia Chen muttered. Young Linlin's spirit began to recover somewhat, Xia Chen muttered. Though her face remained pale, Xia Chen muttered, but her eyes now held a spark. Thank you for saving my life again, Xia Chen muttered. Hearing Young Linlin's grateful words, Zhao Yi, who had planned to drive back, suddenly noticed something unusual. He took out his hunting rifle. He aimed at a point behind Yang Linlin. I'll only say this once. Seeing this, Yang Linlin anxiously asked what was going on. At this moment, a sound came from the darkness behind them, a secret room. The sound. Seeing this, Yang Linlin's hair stood on end. Immediately, a haggard man emerged from the pile of junk. The man raised his hands, a forced smile on his face. Don't kill me. I'm not a bad guy. Yang Linlin hurriedly hid behind Zhao Yi. Low-level danger detected. Congratulations. No reward. He actually found a living person in a haunted school, but no reward. Seeing this, Zhao Yi slowly put away his hunting rifle. Then, cautiously, he asked who he was. The man gave a wry smile and replied, it's a long story. It's not safe here. Something scary might come in later. I'll take you to the basement first. Having said that, the man moved the square tile under his foot. He didn't relax until he entered the basement. Let me introduce myself. My name is Li Sheng. I was a mysterious incident investigator at the A City Police Department. This is my ID. Zhao Yi then carefully examined it. Then we introduced ourselves. Are you alone? Zhao Yi asked, his finger tracing the corner of the lamp stand. Li Sheng sighed, sitting on the dilapidated sofa. No, it's been about 3 months since. The police set their sights on Shirshan High School. The students inside, one by one, the teachers mysteriously disappeared. The city police deployed a large number of personnel, but found nothing. So, under pressure from all sides of public opinion, the mayor had no choice but to turn to us. After some preparations, I arrived at this school with a special mobile unit to participate in the investigation. Unexpectedly, I encountered strange events. It turned out that the mobile unit they came to investigate was the mobile unit. There were 27 people. But that day, fog coincidentally rolled into the school as well. These people, in the fog, were attacked by terrifying, unknown creatures. Fully armed, they didn't even get a clear look at their attacker. They were almost completely wiped out. Finally, Captain Li Sheng, with only 6 remaining team members, escaped into the school building and thus survived. But after the fog cleared, they found that they couldn't leave the school at all. The school gates were completely surrounded by terrifying fog. 7 people could only barely survive in that eerie school. The remaining, Zhao, after hearing this, looked at him curiously. May I ask, what about the 6 teammates who were with you? Li Sheng's face darkened as he replied, dead. Zhao Yi continued to ask, according to what you said, you were at school for at least 3 months. So, what did you usually eat? At this remark, Li Sheng's face darkened. Can we not talk about this? Seeing this, Zhao Yi seemed to understand everything. Just then, Manhwa Xiachen. Above their heads, Manhwa Xiachen. A strange footstep suddenly sounded, Manhwa Xiachen. The entrance floor, like an old machine, Manhwa Xiachen, seemed to be operating again, Manhwa Xiachen, making a creaking sound. Manhwa Xiachen. Then came the dense, chaotic, and unsettling footsteps. The footsteps made their scalps tingle. The dim pendant lamp began to sway back and forth. Zhao Yi quickly signaled the other 2 to remain silent. He, nervous, gripped his hunting rifle tightly. The 3 of them dared not breathe. I listened intently to the footsteps above. It's hard to imagine what kind of monster is up there. That monster paced back and forth for a long time before finally leaving. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Li Sheng whispered an explanation. He himself had only recently. I only just discovered there's a shelter here. Manhwa Xiaochen. Otherwise, I would have died long ago. The words were barely out when several system messages suddenly popped up in front of Zhao Yi. Player Jintao, due to excessively low mental strength, has been assimilated into a dungeon monster. Player Lu Bai has died after being attacked by an unknown creature. Congratulations to players Zhao Yi and Lin Lin for triggering a hidden mission. Investigate the truth behind Shishan High School. Mission reward, S rank. Young Lin Lin also received the message. She covered her mouth in disbelief. Zhao Yi, however, appeared very calm. Then he curiously looked at Li Sheng. You've lived on this campus for 3 months. Haven't you encountered anything frightening? Li Sheng gave a wry smile upon hearing this. How could I not have encountered anything? I'll tell you. Shishan High School is trapped in a terrifying cycle of cursed reincarnation. These students and staff, like living corpses, will all die within 7 days. Then they will be reborn, only to repeat the cursed cycle of death once more. And the later it gets, the more terrifying things will happen. Li Sheng shuddered involuntarily at this point. I once saw with my own eyes, during the 7th day of the last but one reincarnation curse, all the teachers and students carrying their own bloody heads, patrolling every corner of the campus. Young Lin Lin quickly asked, so how did you manage to hide safely, since you were able to survive 3 months in this university? Then, can you help us survive 7 days? Li Sheng sighed helplessly after hearing this. I escaped to the water tower back then. I accidentally discovered this basement. That's how I escaped. Young Lin Lin was overjoyed after hearing this. I understand. The water tower must be the hidden safe zone. As long as we stay here and don't wander around, we can survive for 7 days. Li Sheng sighed again, his face a picture of worry and distress after hearing that. I'm afraid things are more complicated than you think. The curse of this school is constantly expanding. The water tower was indeed safe before. The ghost mist outside will ignore this area. They won't even glance at the water tower. But later, they gradually began to linger outside the water tower. Then they knocked to test if anyone was inside. Then they simply forced their way into the water tower, searching everything inside. The 7th day of the last cycle, I was hiding in the basement and almost got exposed. This time, we're hiding in the basement again. I'm afraid Li Sheng suddenly stopped talking, because the footsteps above started again. And this time, they were even denser. The footsteps clearly belonged to more than one monster. Once we're exposed, we'll be trapped and surely die. A series of loud bangs came from the ground. The icy feeling made their hair stand on end. Zhao Yi realized something was wrong. He quickly grabbed a ladder and placed it under the entrance tile. There was no connection under the entrance tile. The sound of knocking was hollow. We must hold it. It makes the sound of the tiles sound like everything else. Zhao Yi said this and braced himself against the tiles. Young Lin Lin and Ji Xing carefully held down the ladder. The specter only suspects now. It hasn't confirmed there's a secret chamber below. Although the pounding was muffled by the thick floor tiles, it still caused Zhao Yi's whole body to ache and spasm. All 3 gritted their teeth and held on, not daring to relax in the slightest. Only after the ghost thing had pounded for a while, and confirmed there was no problem did it leave. Li Sheng gasped for breath, still shaken. See? I told you, the water. The tower is no longer safe. To survive the next cursed cycle, we either need to find another safe haven or break the curse. Zhao Yi glanced at him casually and said nothing. Young Lin Lin, standing nearby, brightened at this. Breaking the curse. do you know how to break the curse? Young Linlin questioningly asked how to break the curse. Li Sheng was silent for a moment before saying he knew a way, but it would be extremely difficult to execute. I can't do it alone, I need help. Young Linlin said, we can help you. After hearing this, Li Sheng gritted his teeth and said, I trust you. It's better to give it a shot. Based on our previous research and investigation, we found that the reincarnation curse at this university started with a student. That student's name is Qin Xiong. He's a poor student. His family was doing alright before, but later, his father was mining back home. He was buried and died. The mine owner ran away and didn't pay a cent in compensation, leaving them, mother and son, to depend on each other. A story of Xiao Chen. His mother is disabled and can only support their lives through sewing. A story of Xiao Chen. Luckily, Qin Xiong was a bright child from a young age. A story of Xiao Chen. He excelled academically. A story of Xiao Chen. He was accepted into Shishan University and received a substantial scholarship. This place was originally meant to be the cradle nurturing his dreams. A story of Xiao Chen. Unfortunately, an accident happened. Xiao Cheng speaking. His classmate, Zhang Ye, was a good student, beautiful, and kind. Xiao Cheng speaking. After spending a lot of time together, Qin Xiong fell madly in love with her. Later, a transfer student, Pang Xiao, moved in. He was the mayor's son. Xiao Cheng speaking. Bao also fell in love with Zhang Ye. He directly asked the head teacher to switch his seat with Qin Xiong. Thus, the class's top student sat in the last row. Knowing her family was poor, Qin Xiong endured it. But one time, he saw Pang Xiao reach into Zhang Ye's clothes, and Zhang Ye didn't dare resist. He finally couldn't contain his anger. To get revenge, he used his scholarship money to bribe several others, students from poor families. They dragged Pang Xiao to a grove and beat him up severely one night. But all of this was caught on camera. Unable to withstand interrogation, they confessed to Qin Xiong's involvement. Therefore, Qin Xiong was expelled. Afterward, Qin Xiong's mother went to Shishan High School to plead with the head teacher. During an argument, the head teacher accidentally pushed her down the stairs. You can probably guess what happened next. Qin Xiong's mother's death was suppressed by the forces behind it. Several days later, Qin Xiong secretly infiltrated the university. He used a cleaver to kill his head teacher. Then he escaped and vanished without a trace. Speaking of which, Li Sheng suddenly paused. Actually, that's just what the outside world knows. In reality, Qin Xiong never ran away. He died on campus. He died in the underground parking garage of B-Zone. His deep resentment has affected the entire campus. The way to break the curse is to destroy his body. When we first entered the campus, we brought a very powerful weapon. But it was attacked before I could even use it. Left behind in the West District underground parking garage, in a shaft marked Filth Fire. That special weapon requires identity verification, but not for long. As long as you can help me, attracting Qin Xiong's spirit's attention. Soon I can activate the weapon. Destroy Qin Xiong's body. It will only take 3 minutes. Young Linlin, after hearing this, looked at Zhao Yi. Do you think we should help him? Zhao Yi pondered for a moment and said it was possible. When will we act? Li Sheng saw. The other party agreed. His expression immediately lit up with joy. It's too late tonight. Tomorrow night, return to the water tower here. I'll take you to the underground parking garage in the West District. They agreed to take action the following night. The time soon arrived. Zhao Yi and Yang Linlin came to the cafeteria, waiting for nightfall. Thanks to the roster, they safely survived in the classroom until the end. Zhao Yi shoveled rice into his mouth, while asking if the other person had any fishing line. It just needs to be thin, long, and strong enough. Young Linlin was a little puzzled, wondering what it was for. Zhao Yi calmly said 2 words, to kill. Hearing this, Young Linlin was stunned for a moment. Kill who? Zhao Yi looked up at her seriously. Li Sheng. Seeing that the other party wasn't joking, Young Linlin panicked immediately and killed Li Sheng. Tanghua Xiaocheng, who will help us break the curse. Zhao Yi chuckled after hearing this. Tanghua Xiaocheng. If you're still hoping he'll help us break the curse, Tanghua Xiaocheng, then he's really close to death. Manhwa Xiaochen. Hearing this, Manhwa Xiaochen. Young Linlin quietly approached and whispered, asking what it meant. Manhwa Xiaochen. Zhao Yi thought for a moment and explained, firstly, he's just an investigator. Manhua Xiao, not a student of class 18. Don't you think his description of Qin Xiong is overly detailed? Too detailed. He even knows about Qin Xiong seeing mayor's son, Pang Xiao, putting his hand into Zhang Ye's clothes. Secondly, these 3 people aren't on the roster. If things happened exactly as Ji Xing described, so I want to possess the power to plunge the entire school into a strange force. Qin Xiong might let Pang Xiao and Zhang Ye go. At least, he wouldn't let Pang Xiao go. Third, the basement of that water tower. It wasn't a chance discovery. I even suspect he built it. Young Linlin found this hard to believe. That's not possible, is it? The school's curse has spread to most corners. Where did he find the time to build such a large basement in front of so many evil spirits? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Yi offered his opinion. There's no dust in the basement. I deliberately checked many corners yesterday. The lighthouse sofa. There's hardly any dust, even on those obstacles. And it's very clean. Basements are usually not cleaned. It being this clean means someone must live here regularly. Just as you said, after the curse occurred, it would be almost impossible to build a basement under the evil spirit's house. Therefore, the basement must have been built before the curse. Yang Linlin was stunned. The other person's observation skills were terrifying. But if he deceived us, what was his purpose? Zhao Yi continued to explain. Psychology suggests that deliberate lies are usually a mixture of truth and falsehood. To make the lie more logical and believable, it often needs to incorporate some elements of truth. For example, in the underground parking lot of the West District, even without Qin Qiong's demonic state, there are definitely dangers we can't imagine, and Li Sheng truly wants to enter that shaft marked with filthy fire. However, once he goes in, he won't come out again. That's why he lied. He didn't want us to risk our lives distracting the ghost outside. Layer by layer analysis made Yang Linlin completely believe his words. Then he took out the fishing line from his storage space. After handing it over, Yang Linlin wondered what she should do. Zhao Yi fiddled with something, indicating he didn't need to do anything. Success depends on tonight. If we're lucky, we can break this curse tonight. Darkness gradually fell. Li Sheng was pacing back and forth at the entrance. His eyes lit up when he saw the two of them arrive. Why did you take so long? Let's hurry and scout the location. We don't have much time left. At midnight, those ghostly things will once again fill the campus. Every corner. Zhao Yi nodded after hearing it, indicating no problem. Let's hurry and check the location now. The three of them then sneakily made their way to the underground parking lot in the West District. Li Sheng introduced. There are 3 exits in total in the West District underground parking lot. That ghost thing is lingering around Area C. My plan is this. You two go in through exit C, deliberately make noise to attract the ghost thing, then escape separately through the other 2 exits. Let the ghosts chase you out of the parking lot. I'll lie in wait here, waiting for you to lure the ghosts away. I'll immediately go in and activate the weapon. While Li Sheng was speaking, his expression showed an unnatural excitement. Zhao Yi saw this scene, and became even more certain of his guess, but he remained calm and began to act. Passing a corner, Zhao Yi took out a grenade, and tied it to the iron bar of the entrance. The ring above is connected to a fishing line barely visible in the dark. The other end of the line is hidden in his sleeve. Zhao Yi and Yang Linlin carefully feel their way forward. Outside the door, Zhao Sheng is nervously anxious. Ever since that incident went wrong, he has been barely surviving in this eerie school for months. His companions are dwindling, and there's less and less to eat. Whether he lives or dies depends on this one attempt today. The two of them quickly arrived inside the underground parking garage. Their eyes scanned the area, filled with wandering vengeful spirits. Zhao Yi asked Yang Linlin to wait in place. He quietly moved closer. As the distance narrowed, the red light in his eyes grew more intense. It even began to faintly glow with a reddish hue. Ding! Player Zhao Yi's source code has encountered an error and disorder. Attempting repair. Repair failed. A cold voice repeated in his mind. The areas that were originally dark and invisible became clearly visible to Zhao. At this moment, he felt as if he were in God's perspective. He saw everything in the underground parking garage, including the terrifying figure hidden in the corner. X2. The rampaging quantum state is extremely dangerous. It moves extremely fast. It can penetrate most obstacles. Its attack is incredibly powerful, you can't fight it. It behaves in a way that slaughters every living thing it sees. It prioritizes attacking units that make loud noises. Weakness 1, Schrodinger's cat. Weakness 2, its main body. After obtaining this data, the red glow in Zhao's eyes slowly dissipated. After a few seconds of daze, his pupils regained their luster. He immediately ran towards the fork in the road with Yang Linlin. After the two of them hid, Zhao Yi picked up his phone and sent an OK message to the other party. Similarly, Li Sheng replied with an OK. A cruel smile appeared on his face in the darkness. Blame your bad luck. A stranger's words. How could one easily believe them? On the other side, a smile also appeared on Zhao Yi's lips. The next moment, he suddenly pulled the fishing line in his hand. The previously invisible fishing line suddenly snapped taut. Just as Li Sheng was about to act, the sound of the grenade's pin being pulled followed. With a loud bang, a burst of fire erupted. The violent roar echoed throughout the entire underground parking garage. Li Sheng was directly thrown back by the terrifying force of the blast. On the nearby wall, he hadn't had time to think about what had happened, when his eyes caught sight of something in the distance. A terrifying dark figure running towards him. Holy crap! His adrenaline surged instantly in terror. He immediately took Black Shadow, Lang Di, and fled from Area C. Zhao Yi saw this, and went with Yang Linlin towards the vertical shaft engraved with the mark of the corrupt fire. On the way, Yang Linlin was very curious. Wasn't he a newbie? Where did he get the points to buy a grenade? Zhao Yi replied calmly. I once had a patient who was an arms dealer. I cured him of his bloodlust, so he gave me a box of grenades as a reward. So, I usually carry a few grenades on me. When I'm bored, I take them out and fiddle with them. Hearing this, young Linlin was instantly speechless. After prying open the manhole cover, she took out a flashlight and handed it to Zhao Yi to turn on. The flashlight beam shone on the well wall. There was no dirt or dust. The smooth alloy surface reflected the light from the flashlight. At the bottom, they found that there was a dead end ahead. In the center, there was a red button. If they guessed correctly, this button was for an elevator. Zhao Yi immediately pressed it. Then, the elevator door slowly opened. As the two entered, the elevator smoothly started operating. The descent lasted a full 3 minutes. Then, appearing before them was a long, narrow, pure white passage. Pure shock. Words couldn't describe Yang Linlin's feelings at that moment. Who could have imagined, hundreds of meters beneath a university, there's actually a building like this? Zhao Yi guessed. This should be some strange experimental base, because ever since he met the principal, he's felt something was wrong. Generally speaking, the more powerful the ghost, the attacks tend to be idealistic. Ordinary methods are difficult to defend against, but based on the experiences from the two instances, although the boss is powerful, its attacks are purely physical in nature. This suggests that the principal is not a ghost, but some kind of monster. Obviously, ghost school horror isn't a purely supernatural scenario. Its worldview is far larger than expected. Zhao Yi said this, a look of apparent enjoyment on his face. Just then, young Linlin hurriedly gestured for him to look ahead. Only in the passage, several experimenters in special clothing lay there. Their bodies were mangled and torn, as if they had been mauled by a large beast. Although I don't know what they encountered, it's certain that this place isn't safe either. Zhao Yi surveyed his surroundings, then led young Linlin towards a corner. Ahead of them was an encrypted alloy door. He arrived beside the control room. Manjiu Xiaocheng discovered the lock required facial recognition. Seeing this, young Linlin's face fell. What should we do? Let's turn back now. We'll most likely encounter that terrifying shadow. Xiao Chen had just finished speaking, when Zhao Yi suddenly pulled out a scalpel. Then he turned and walked towards the corpse. Little Chen, what are you doing? Little Chen, young Linlin's eyelids kept twitching, and she quickly followed behind. Zhao Yi didn't answer. He started to busy himself without a word. A moment later, he returned here carrying a head. Little Chen, seeing this, young Linlin quickly hid to the side. Right now, her stomach is churning. She almost threw up. Xinhua Xiaoceng, facial recognition successful. As the voice fell, the heavy iron door slowly opened. Zhao Yi casually put the head into his inventory. Watching the harvester, Hetty's head, white quality. Manhwa Xiaochen. Hetty would never have imagined. Manhwa Xiaochen. That after his death, he would meet a psychopath. Manhwa Xiaochen. Who wouldn't even spare his only perfectly preserved head. Manhwa Xiaochen. After the alloy gate opened, 3 paths appeared. Manhwa Xiaochen. Yang Linlin followed closely behind. My hands holding the gun are already sweating. Clearly, there's still enormous danger in this underground lab. The two explore the rightmost fork in the road. On the way, a severed hand holds a special manuscript. This line seems out of context and possibly a comment unrelated to the video. It's difficult to translate without more information. Papa Bao scans my favorite Lena. The work is in its final stages. Dad will be home in at most half a month. Don't worry, this time Dad will definitely come back. Seeing the above, young Linlin sighed helplessly. He's a good father who loves his daughter. Even before his death, he was still thinking of his daughter. Zhao Yi answered indifferently. Yes, he was a good father. But besides that, he might also be a murderer. The deaths of thousands of people outside the school were very likely inseparable from him. Young Linlin was speechless for a moment. She suddenly felt no sympathy for this man at all. A harsh scraping sound came from around the corner in the distance. Both of their muscles tensed. They cautiously followed the sound. Then they held their breath, quietly observing the corner. Then, the next second, a gigantic white leg appeared before the two of them. Hundreds of tentacles extended from the leg. At the tip of each tentacle were fist-sized, malformed human heads. Young Linlin felt like something was wrong with her entire being. What the hell is this? So disgusting. But Zhao Yi, who was beside her, wore an expression of obsession. Such a beautiful creation. The audience outside the live stream room was instantly shaken to the core. What's beautiful about something like this? I suddenly understand why in the last instance, he got excited when he saw the elevator ghost. Young Linlin was a little flustered. Then what should we do next? How should we deal with this thing? Of course, we should proceed cautiously and handle it carefully. After Zhao Yi finished speaking, he took out his scalpel. Hearing this, young Linlin quickly raised her shotgun. But just then, Zhao Yi had already charged toward the monster. Exclusive alert, riotous variant. Ultimate danger. Just a half-finished product. It's vastly inferior to the quantum states outside. Weakness, hemorrhoids on its butt. Clearly, those madmen were conducting terrifying experiments. I didn't expect that the mutants would also suffer from hemorrhoids due to prolonged sitting. At this time, the monster discovered Zhao Yi and charged towards its target in large strides. Just as the two were about to meet, Zhao Yi suddenly pulled out Lao Lu's property deed. I directly locked the monster before me in a small dark room. Within the 10 seconds the monster was forcibly sealed. Zhao Yi directly circled around to its back. Then he slashed at the hemorrhoid on its butt. That one. Crimson blood bloomed like a chrysanthemum. The monster's body collapsed to the ground like mud. Congratulations. You have slain the rampaging mutant. Your soul weapon has absorbed the mutant's residual evil god meme. You are attempting to reconstruct the fragmented within the meme. Insufficient power, reconstruction cannot continue. Your soul weapon gains the special ability entanglement due to the meme. Units injured by your soul weapon will continuously grow gluttonous ones from their wounds until the unit dies. The strength of the gluttonous ones is related to your strength and level. Zhao Yi heard the name of the evil god meme for the first time. I don't know what this thing is, but just reconstructing 1/10,000th of it increased his power by 8 points. He also gained a special passive skill. It feels amazing. Young Lin Lin behind him cautiously asked, is it dead? Zhao Yi chuckled and replied, yes. It should have been a perfect creature. Unfortunately, its creator wasn't very good. As the words fell, he picked up the scalpel and began to dissect it. Other than discovering that the monster possessed 18 kidneys, nothing remarkable was found. There were no useful clues. The two continued down the passage. They found a massive cultivator at the end of the passage. The nearby operating instruments were stained red with blood. Zhao Yi pulled open the drawer beneath the instrument. He finally found a useful lab log. What's interesting is, when the lab assistant Xiao He accidentally, his kidneys actually became healthier and stronger than before. On August 24th, the mayor came to inspect. Everyone will get hundreds of square meters of bonus land after success, Xianmen. Manhwa Xiaochen. His name will also be recorded in history. The madman of the inner courtyard, Monsi Xiaocheng. I completed their shaping of the quantum state. I don't know what that is, but I always feel uneasy. September 3rd, during dinner, I asked my colleagues if they could stop the monster if it rioted. Could they stop it? But he seemed to ignore me. He even boasted to me about how perfect their creation was, how in the future such methods could even be borrowed to make humans immortal. What? When I repeatedly asked him about the monster riot, he got angry. Xia Xiaochen. September 13th. We paid a heavy price for our stupidity. Everyone will die including me. After Yang Lin Lin read the above log entry, she guessed that an unknown riot must have occurred in the lab. That experimental subject they created went out of control, then killed everyone. Zhao Yi's brows furrowed slightly. At this moment, he seemed to have thought of something. Whether it was the rioting quantum states outside, or the monster we just encountered, it was impossible. Appearing out of thin air, they must have a ground state. That is, their original form. Having said that, he started operating the nearby instrument. I just need to restore this data to how they originally functioned. Then let's see what the original ground state is. That's enough. At this time, the instrument slowly operates. The monster pattern displayed is gradually shedding its data. Its bizarre appearance also gradually began to revert. First the legs, then the arms, and finally the head. When the monster fully reverted to its original form, young Lin Lin was stunned. She never expected that this monster was originally a human, and a woman at that. Zhao Yi stared at the projection on the screen, lost in thought. The monster's cells are highly active and adaptable. This means the girl is very young. Let me make a bold guess. This girl is likely a student from a university. Hearing this speculation, young Lin Lin instantly felt a chill. You mean that under this university, they built such a huge, mysterious experimental base to transform the students into monsters? Are these people criminals or madmen? Zhao Yi pondered for a while. The answer is that the monster had 8 kidneys. Each one was incredibly young. It seems now that this lab might be selling human organs. If the experiment is successful, this girl's cells, they can continue to cultivate new monsters. They will have an endless supply of kidneys to sell. That means they've cultivated a money-making machine. This experimental base obviously has more than one project. The experimental log I just saw mentioned it. The experimenters inside seem to be shaping some kind of creation related to quantum states. The shadow we encountered outside might be the experiment, described in the journal as the chaotic quantum creature. Young Lin Lin was instantly furious upon hearing this. Those bastards, they actually built a human experimentation base under the school, cultivating children into these kinds of monsters. It's utterly unconscionable. Zhao Yi shook his head, correcting her perspective. They didn't build a human experimentation base under the school. They built the school on top of the human experimentation base. The construction of this underground experimental base is quite complex. If they waited until the school was completed, then secretly built the underground experimental base, it would be impossible. So obviously, the experimental base was built first. And in their plan, Shushan High School was also part of it. They needed subjects young enough and energetic enough to test various experiments. I ask, what organization could better symbolize famous universities and more legitimately gather statistics about young people and their health status? Let's go, now we just need some materials to prove this hypothesis, and we can complete the hidden task. Zhao Yi finished speaking, then took young Linlin to another fork in the road. On their way back, he skinned the 8-kidney monster again. Young Linlin was so disgusted she vomited. Zhao Yi admired it contentedly for a while. Then, they reluctantly put it into the storage space. The two proceeded down the other end of the corridor. At the camera's position, they surprisingly discovered a huge white cafeteria. They cautiously peered through the crack in the door. Inside, countless monsters were actually feeding, and their food was shockingly the already decaying bodies of the lab personnel. Young Linlin covered her mouth in disbelief. There were so many monsters. How many students must have gone missing? Why wasn't the police investigating? Zhao's face was grave as he spoke. The person who built this lab must have incredible influence. It's very likely the mayor of City A, but he couldn't have done this alone. There's probably a huge team behind him. Young Linlin was a little scared at this moment. What should we do now? Leave? Zhao Yi didn't speak. He smiled, took the skin from his storage space, and tore it in half, handing a piece to the other person. Young Linlin instantly understood his plan. I'd rather die than split that thing. Having said that, she turned and ran. But the next second, Zhao Yi pulled her back. Doing so, and amidst young Linlin's disgusted expression, he directly put the foul-smelling, ugly coat over her. The strong smell of blood and monster hide could mask their body odor. But if the monsters discovered their disguise, they would be torn to shreds in an instant. Zhao Yi pulled young Linlin and pushed open the cafeteria doors. With a creaking sound, the fog thousands of distorted monsters all turned their heads towards them. Their eyes were full of doubt. They seemed to think the two were similar, yet completely different. So they slowly approached, wanting to test them. Watching these monsters approach, young Linlin's legs trembled even more violently. Zhao Yi, however, showed unusual excitement. Pulling young Linlin, I went before the monsters. These artificially created monsters, though highly aggressive, only target humans. They are surprisingly tolerant towards us. One of them has bone spurs growing from its head. The girl, half her face rotten, made a strange sound. It seemed to be asking something. Zhao Yi imitated it. He made the same sound and movements. The monster was clearly more confused. It asked a few more questions. Zhao Yi repeated it word for word. But after several repetitions, the monster finally seemed to understand that this creature before it was an emotionless parrot. Losing interest, they dispersed. Young Linlin finally let out a sigh of relief. She had imagined many scenarios about how Zhao would resolve the immediate crisis, but she never expected Zhao to act like a broken record. The key is, he actually pulled it off. It's unbelievable. With the monster no longer obstructing them, Manhwa Xiaochen. After wandering around the cafeteria for a while, Zhao Yi chatted with Xiaochen. He then led her to a door. He'd noticed there were 6 doors in the cafeteria, but monsters never entered or exited this particular one. In fact, whenever they passed near this door, they deliberately avoided it. Hearing his words, young Linlin curiously asked if they should go in and take a look. Going in now would get them discovered. Zhao Yi naturally knew this as well. Now wasn't the time to go in. Let's see if there are any other clues in the cafeteria. Then the two passed a corner. Inside the corner, 2 monsters were feasting. That's disgusting. Young Linlin's stomach churned again at the sight. The monsters saw them and he offered his food. Zhao Yi saw the other party's enthusiastic manner. The atmosphere was such that he couldn't refuse to eat. To show his respect, he picked up some insects and put them in his mouth. This scene shocked young Linlin, who was standing nearby. She saw Zhao Yi eat the food. The monster completely dispelled any remaining suspicion it had of the two. Immediately after, Zhao Yi began searching under the corpse. One particular manuscript caught his attention. X2 fusion failed. The department has received the destruction order. Let it go. We've worked so hard for so many years. Why didn't it succeed? Could the Shushan experiment base repeat the mistake of Gushuan town from years ago? Base. We are not afraid of death, but we cannot tolerate failure. The mayor wants us to take the experimental data and withdraw from the Shushan experimental base. Regarding Shushan, they will find a way to destroy everything. Tonight, we will be the rear guard. Gushian town again. Zhao Yi frowned upon seeing this. At this moment, a system voice suddenly rang in their ears. Yi Yang and Lin Lin. Hidden task, investigate the truth behind Shirshan High School. Mission complete. Rewards will be distributed after the main mission is completed. The contents of the manuscript confirmed Zhao Yi's hypothesis. Shirshan High School was built as an experimental base. Those excellent students gathered from all over City A. All became subjects of the base. The test subject. I also saw a distorted black shadow in the giant elephant hospital instance before. Judging from the note's content, that shadow should be 11. That is to say, the experimental base is likely not limited to giant elephant hospital. From Hashan High School, 2 places. He pondered this, then turned to Yang Linlin. But then he found Yang Linlin quietly sobbing. Seeing this, Zhao Yi quickly pulled him away from that spot. They came to the nearby door where there were no monsters. Only then did they stop. Why are you crying? Hearing Zhao Yi's question, Yang Linlin quietly replied, I know the hidden mission has been completed. Even if I die and return to the guild base immediately, it would still be a huge profit. But looking at so many students in the cafeteria, I can't feel happy at all. They once held aspirations for the future, pouring in so much sweat and effort, only to gain admission to this school. But they never expected to enter such a terrifying man-made hell. They were cruelly turned into various monsters. It's truly hard to imagine how desperate they must have felt while lying on the experiment table. Zhao Yi patted her shoulder and comforted her. Listen, sympathizing with them now won't help. We need to focus on the main story. Maybe we can even find the mastermind behind this experimental base. The mastermind behind it. Yang Linlin wiped away her tears and regained her composure. So what should we do now? Zhao Yi looked at him seriously and replied, First, we need to figure out a way. They're in cahoots with the shadowy figure in the garage outside. Hearing this, Yang Linlin checked her saliva, somewhat disbelieving. What? In cahoots with that guy? Are you crazy? Because judging from the way that shadowy figure chased Li Sheng, we can analyze that. He is very likely the ultimate creation of this experimental base. His riotous quantum state is unstable and extremely powerful. Hearing this, Yang Linlin was instantly stunned. Little Chen, then you still want to unite with him? I'm afraid you'll be killed before you even get to speak to him. Zhao Yi then asked him, possessing such abilities. Yet he was wandering around the entrance. Don't you find that strange? Yang Linlin thought for a while and replied, maybe he can't find his way. That's why he kept lingering there. Zhao Yi shook his head, denying his deduction. No, rather than saying he couldn't find a place to go, it's more accurate to say he was guarding the entrance. He heard the noise and went to chase Li Sheng, indicating he didn't want anyone to. The well leads into this experimental base, and the monsters inside the experimental base would rather eat rotting corpses than go outside. This suggests there's something they fear outside. Clearly, what they fear isn't X2, because if X2 wanted to kill them, it would be child's play. So, if I'm not mistaken, the only thing that could pose a threat to them should be the curse. The unknown ghosts hidden in the fog. Yang Linlin curiously asked, you mean they're hostile towards the fog outside? Zhao nodded. Then he took out the crucial note. The mayor of City A ordered the researchers to leave with the data, evacuating the Shirshan experimental base. They'll find a way to help destroy everything here. After reading it, Yang Linlin suddenly understood. I understand. This thick fog curse is their solution. They're going to use a curse to erase all traces of the experiments here. Zhao Yi's mouth curled into an excited smile. The answer is correct. Those unknown ghostly creatures in the fog. He's the true hunter of this instance. He's also the real problem we need to solve for our main and side quests. We need to solve this problem. Seeing his strange expression, Yang Linlin's hair stood on end. That dense fog is even harder to deal with. What are you so excited about? Zhao Yi chuckled and explained. The conflict is now established. The mayor of City A wants to use the ancestral curse to destroy all records of the experimental base and Shirshan High School, while experimental subject X2 wants to preserve all of it. He clearly has self-awareness. This is good for us. After all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If we can find a way to communicate with him properly, perhaps we can obtain key information about the curse from him, and even help us complete the task quickly. Yang Linlin was silent for a moment. Then she reached out with her little hand to check Zhao Yi's temperature. No fever. Why are you talking nonsense today? Zhao Yi pushed her hand away in frustration. It's too complicated to explain to you. Just follow me. Then the two waited in the lab for a long time. Yang Linlin, bored, asked what we were waiting for. Zhao Yi replied that we were waiting for the cafeteria monsters to rest. Since those things were created by humans, they are ultimately a kind of organism. Of course I'll be tired. I'll go to sleep when I'm tired. Let's take advantage of their rest and go check out that door. If I'm not mistaken, it should be related to X2. Then how do we get in? There's a password there. Yang Linlin had just finished speaking when she saw Zhao Yi holding a scalpel, remove the worker's head. Immediately after, he took the head to the keypad. Ding! Identifying facial recognition successful. As the sound faded, the door slowly opened. The two cautiously crept inside. but the sight inside made their hair stand on end. Before them lay a giant vat filled with green liquid. Inside the vat, there's a dense network of human-like nerves and blood vessels. The uppermost layer of nerves connects to the brain and a pair of eyes. What in the world is this thing? Young Lin Lin couldn't help but shiver, while Zhao Yi's eyes were full of admiration. This thing is truly a work of art. The entire body only retains the most important blood vessels and nerves. Nutrient solution is used to maintain cell activity, and external stimuli replace the heart to complete circulation. This complete nerve stripping surgery, among all the patients I've known before, only one person could have accomplished it. Hearing this, the barrage of comments instantly exploded. He's not bragging, is he? How could such a surgery possibly be completed in real life? I'm a graduate of medical school. I can responsibly tell you all that this surgery is also feasible in reality. No experiments have been conducted on living people. This level of nerve dissection, the anesthetic would have absolutely no effect. This was almost performed while the patient was conscious. Young Lin Lin carefully approached the culture tank. Do you mean he's still alive? Zhao nodded and answered, yes, because the cost of these nutrients and machines is extremely high. Those insane researchers. There's no need to spend so much effort on a dead man. Saying this, he walked to the other experimental table. A notebook lay on it. The first page of the notebook read, The Supreme God. It said that focus is an essential quality for concentrating one's spirit. Kindness is the lock that seals power. Anger and fear are the keys to unlock it. This seems to be a quote from some theological or philosophical text. As he pondered this, he heard Yang Lin Lin's exclamation. He saw an electronic tag on the jar. It read, X2 native, Chincheong. Adaptability 99%, excellent mental concentration. This name surprised Zhao greatly. Interesting, Chincheong was actually used to create thought too. After the meeting, he turned to look for the list of experiment participants. Sure enough, he found several familiar names on it. Experimenters Zhang Ye, Pang Xiao, and Li Sheng. Zhao Yi raised an eyebrow, his brain working rapidly. He finally understood everything. Pang Xiao was not the mayor's son at all. Zhang Ye was not the goddess of class 8 in grade 1 either. They were all experimenters disguised as students. They helped scout for test subjects at school. These two people played different roles, deliberately approaching Chincheong one after the other. The goal was, as recorded in the notebook, to unlock Chincheong's kindness and unleash the demon within him. Generally speaking, the better a student's grades, naturally, their concentration is also higher. It's difficult for someone who is half-hearted to achieve anything academically. This, the best school in the city. The purpose is actually to screen those subjects with extremely high concentration. No wonder that roster. There are no names of Zhang Ye and Pang Xiao. They were lab personnel. They probably ran away long before the curse happened. Zhao Yigang finished his analysis. Suddenly, a cold voice came to his ears. Your guess is basically correct. But these two bastards didn't run away. Instead, they became victims too. Li Sheng, missing an arm, showed a look of relief. He aimed his MP5 at the two of them. Didn't expect that, huh? After all the hardships, I still made it in. Your little game ends here. One-armed, he pointed his MP5 at them. Young Lin Lin, seeing this, immediately raised her hands. Zhao Yi, however, nonchalantly started to move. Freeze. Move again and I'll shoot you dead. Li Sheng's eyes were bloodshot as he hysterically threatened them. A slight smile appeared on Zhao Yi's lips. Shoot already. If you had bullets, you would have shot by now. I don't believe you can hold back. Li Sheng didn't waste words and pulled the trigger. With a loud bang, the bullet instantly hit Yang Lin Lin's left leg. She let out a muffled grunt and collapsed to the ground. Manhwa Xiaochen. Manhwa Xiaochen hugged her legs, staring at the other person with tearless eyes. It's not like I provoked you. Why are you shooting me? Manhwa Xiaochen. Li Sheng quickly apologized in a panic. Manhwa Xiaochen. Manhwa Xiaochen then once again aimed the gun at Zhao Yi, but due to excessive blood loss, double vision had already set in. With a bang, the trigger was pulled. A blood blossom erupted on Yang Lin Lin's leg. The viewers in the live stream were dying of laughter. There seems to be some personal grudges in that shot. Zhao Yi immediately stripped the two of them of their clothes. Then, he tore the sleeves into strips. I bandaged them up. Little morning, all done. You schemed against us once, so we schemed against you once. Rounding it up, you now owe us a favor. So, what can you do for us? Hearing Zhao Yi's shameless words, Li Xingqi's whole body was trembling. Who the F*** is rounding down and saying I owe you a favor? If it weren't for your usefulness, I'd really like to send you a bullet. He suppressed his anger, and slowly spoke. Since you've all come here, that proves you understand what happened. Yes, we did it. Including the school's curse. To leave, you must find a way to break the curse, Li Sheng said, and went to the instrument next to the jar and started operating it. Just shut down X2's life pod riot. X2 is dead. The remaining mutants pose little threat. The organization will quickly send people to shut down the curse, and they will clean them all up. Zhao Yi stopped him. Don't deceive yourself. The organization won't come to save you. X2 power loss. Attack the ghosts in the fog outside. They'll soon swarm into the research base. Do you think you can withstand the ghost's attack? Hearing this, Li Sheng's face was extremely gloomy. I participated in that experiment. I possess confidential data they don't have. It's highly valuable. The organization wouldn't easily abandon me. Zhao Yi stared at him and retorted, if you were truly that important to them. They sent people to rescue you a long time ago. Instead of letting you survive like this in this hellhole for so long, expecting your organization to save you, is less reliable than trusting us. At least, for now, we're still, barely, in the same boat. Li Sheng was instantly enraged by these words. He pressed the MP5 firmly against the other man's forehead. Say another word and I'll blow your brains out. Zhao Yi's face showed no sign of panic. Being abandoned must feel awful, huh? You're as loyal as a dog. In the end, this is the outcome you get. They paint you a big picture when they use you, but when they throw you away, it's like throwing trash. Stop being naive. If you want to live or not, it's just one sentence. Only we can help you now. If you kill me, it's the same as committing suicide. Li Sheng glared at him, his teeth clenched. His hand gripping the gun trembled. He was afraid that he might accidentally shoot and kill Zhao Baizi. Finally, Li Sheng slowly lowered his gun. He slumped to the ground, completely dejected. Then he took out a cigarette and lit it. Then she held it in her mouth and took a deep breath. Do I look pitiful now? Yang Linlin covered her injured leg, and stared at him angrily. How dare you call yourself pitiful? What about those students you tortured and transformed? And this pile of nerve endings in jars? Aren't they more pathetic than you? Li Sheng let out a bitter laugh. Do you think I want this? My daughter is in their hands. 7 years ago, my wife died of cancer. Before she passed, she entrusted me. You must take good care of our daughter. Speaking of which, her tears couldn't stop falling. I'm sorry to my wife. Now I have to apologize to my daughter as well. Yang Linlin, hearing this, suddenly remembered the manuscript she had seen on the severed hand earlier. Do all your wives and children fall under that organization's control? Li Sheng nodded helplessly. You think we're unforgivable, but where did we have any choice? If you had to choose between your family, or a stranger dies, would you choose your family? Yang Linlin fell silent for a moment after hearing this. Indeed, if I were in their shoes, I'm afraid I would make the same choice. After all, people are selfish. Alright, let's talk about the collaboration. You managed to infiltrate this school, so you're clearly not ordinary people. If you're willing to help me with this favor, I'll tell you how to break the binding curse. Upon hearing his words, Zhao Yi smiled and retorted, you wouldn't be asking us to help rescue your daughter, would you? Li Sheng immediately shook his head. Just you. Forget about rescuing my daughter. With your skills, you'd be in danger the moment you got near the organization. It will be discovered and dealt with as quickly as possible. Disposed of. Of course, if you don't bring that silly woman along, then with your little smarts, you should live a bit longer. Yang Linlin roared immediately after hearing this. You're the silly one. Your whole family is silly. Zhao looked intently. He hesitated for a moment. So what do you want us to do for you? Li Sheng struggled to his feet. Then, he walked unsteadily to a corner of the room. He then opened one of the cabinets. After tearing off the wallpaper that covered the cabinet's hidden compartment, a metal safe appeared in front of them. Li Sheng immediately entered his fingerprint and password. After fumbling for a while, he took out a strange bottle of reagent. After doing all of this, he breathlessly handed the reagent to Zhao Yi. Zhao Yi asked in confusion what this was. Li Sheng replied that it was a product from another project. The method is still immature, tested on Xiao Chen, but its danger level is no less than X2. Talk to Xiao Chen. The organization won't let this go. It might be months, maybe years. Even if this place becomes a complete wasteland, they'll definitely send people to search for it. Once this thing falls into the organization's hands, Li Sheng said this, shaking his head. Trying to stay awake, Xiao Cheng muttered. Because of excessive blood loss, his dizziness was getting worse. About the curse, Xiao Cheng muttered. Everything came from a magic box, Xiao Cheng muttered. As long as that box is closed, the curse will disappear, Xiao Cheng muttered. Leave through the secret passage I came from. The box is in the center of that fog. The ominous things in the fog won't attack anything that seems like dead fog. If you can minimize your emotional fluctuations as much as possible, you might be able to get there. They are sensed through brainwaves emanating from living creatures with fluctuating emotions. Xia Chen's casual talk. To judge whether it is your own target of attack. Xia Chen's casual talk. Remember. Xia Chen's casual talk. No matter what you see in that fog, don't be surprised. Xia Chen's casual talk. Don't be afraid either. Once you experience significant emotional fluctuations, the nearby demons will smell the scent of flesh. Li Sheng, in a daze, muttered his last words before passing out. He fainted. Young Linlin hurriedly tried to stop his bleeding. Zhao Yi shook his head, signaling that it was no use. The prolonged hunger. He's already extremely weak. During the escape just now, adrenaline further strained his body. Now he's lost so much blood. Unless there's a proper large hospital nearby, we need to give him a blood transfusion immediately. Otherwise, even Hua Tuo himself couldn't save him. Young Linlin stood aside, feeling uncomfortable. Do you think what he said is credible? Zhao Yi pondered for a moment before answering. From a psychologist's perspective, I think he's telling the truth. But this clearly isn't the way out the system intended for us. There should be a simpler way to break the ancestral curse. Otherwise, even if someone knew this method, 9 out of 10 people would die trying it. Young Linlin leaned against the wall and sighed helplessly. Then we have to find another way to break the curse. Zhao Yi stared at the secret passage, eager to try it. The shortcut may be difficult, but it's definitely more direct and efficient. Young Linlin reminded. It's too dangerous. Even if your mental state doesn't decrease in the fog, any emotional fluctuation will attract attacks from those ghosts. Zhao's eyes showed intense interest. It's fine. As a former psychiatrist who has treated thousands of patients with mental illnesses, I'm very confident in controlling my emotions. I'm leaving now. Young Linlin didn't choose to follow. She knew clearly that she couldn't maintain her mental state like the other person. Going would only cause Zhao Yi trouble. That's also suicidal. After all, getting to the hidden S-rank mission is already a huge win. Now she just needs to wait in the lab for Zhao Yi to complete the mission, and she can clear the game. After wandering for a long time in the secret passage, Zhao Yi finally saw an elevator ahead. It was an elevator. This secret passage is located deep underground. It also operates using a shaft elevator, but it's different from the shaft elevator guarded by X2. This requires member privileges, so the outside ghosts can't get in. Zhao Yi once again took Hetty's body from the storage space. Her head was so damaged she didn't even recognize her own mother. It still managed to identify successfully. The elevator continued to run slowly, rising to the top. An extremely strong baleful aura washed over him the moment the door opened. He saw a blood-covered woman outside the door, her back to him. Nutritional supplement. Warning, the red-clothed female ghost is extremely dangerous. A terrifying evil spirit cursed by wickedness. My emotions can only feed on the emotions of living beings, but encountering a man as cold as you, attachment. The female ghost is gnawing on an arm. Zhao Yi recognizes that arm as Li Sheng's lost limb. No wonder Li Sheng preferred to take the risk and provoke X2, rather than use the secret passage here. There must be something incredibly terrifying lurking here. Zhao Yi then slowly walked out of the elevator. He then very kindly stood behind the female ghost. He wasn't trying to play the role of a death knight. There's nothing I can do, this woman just happened to be blocking the way. After the female ghost sensed the heat behind her, she immediately turned her head. That terrifying, contorted face scared the livestream viewers into breaking out in a cold sweat. The woman and the ghost stared at each other for several seconds. Slap, asterisk. That sticky, foul-smelling tongue covered Zhao Yi's face. The creature's emotions fluctuate. If Zhao Yi shows the slightest emotional change, he'll definitely be eaten on the spot. Seconds later, seeing no reaction from the other party, the female ghost retracted her tongue. Zhao Yi took out a handkerchief and wiped the drool from his face. Then he offered an awkward but polite smile. Then, amidst the other's bewildered expression, he slowly left here. He sniffed. Since the strange data update, the remarks have been getting more and more inappropriate. He climbed up the stairs of the secret passage. Soon, he arrived at the school's gym storage room. After getting a haircut, Little Chen. There's no terrifying fog here, Little Chen, but there's a strange children's rhyme echoing. August 8th, get a haircut, cut mom. Mom is sewn into a doll. Little Chen. Zhao Yi followed the sound source to search. He discovered Little Chen. The nursery rhyme came from the mouth of a little girl, Manhwa Xiaochen. She walked straight up to the little girl, Manhwa Xiaoju. Everyone outside the live stream room became curious. What is she going to do? Is she going to walk over and harm the little girl? Manhwa Xiaochen stood by the little girl's side. Zhao Yi reached out and touched Xiaochen's head. Then he, disgustedly, shook his hand. It was a little oily. This girl must not have washed her hair for days. Jin Song asked Xiaochen, little friend, how do I get to the center of the fog? Hearing this, the little girl stopped singing. Xiaochen was silent for a long time after that. Little Chen, numbly, pointed in one direction. Zhao Yi left after a thank you, striding away. The little girl remained where she was, lost in thought. She couldn't understand why the stone had spoken. Zhao Yi had understood everything through his test. The rules had deprived them of their 6 senses. It can't be judged alive through sound, taste, light, and shadow. Even if touched or attacked, they won't attack in return. Fear, terror, excitement, etc. Only such emotional fluctuations can attract their attention. Thick fog enveloped the outside of the gymnasium. More and more ghosts appeared inside. In the depths of the thick fog, there is a headless female ghost dancing ballet, a demon playing a piano made of human bones, and a butcher dragging a giant bone-chopping knife, along with the slit-mouthed woman, whose mouth stretches to her ears. They hide in the ghostly mist, constantly wandering back and forth. Zhao Yi just walks through the thick fog. His mental state remained at 100%. His face showed no emotional fluctuation. The viewers in the live stream were too nervous to breathe deeply. They were afraid he might accidentally die. As he ventured deeper into the thick fog, the ghosts Zhao Yi encountered became increasingly ferocious and terrifying. Only the corpse cried out with a single cry. Zhao Yi's 7 orifices bled, almost collapsing. A pure black elk glanced at Zhao Yi. One of its legs began to grow worms, and started to rot continuously. A paper figure with a face covered in bright oil paint. Just by exhaling towards Zhao Yi, ghost fire immediately appeared on Zhao Yi's body, but even though he was burned beyond recognition, he remained completely emotionless from beginning to end. He didn't even show a hint of pain on his face. The viewers outside the live stream held their breath in suspense. I don't know how long I walked. The fog ahead finally dissipated slowly. 2 bodies, twisted into grotesque shapes, appeared in the clearing. Zhao Yi examined them for a while. He guessed that these 2 people must be Zhang Ye and Pang Xiao. But whoever they were, it didn't matter anymore. He crouched down. He forcefully pulled a worm from his leg. Then he took out his scalpel. He poked the worm's belly. Black, thin vines grew out of its body. This is a passive devourer derived from the evil god meme. The worm struggled for a moment before losing its life. Vivid flowers bloomed from the vines on its body. Without this worm, Zhao Yi's leg would not continue to rot. After he bandaged his wound, he came to the golden box placed on the ground. The craftsmanship of this box looks exquisite. Zhao Yi cautiously stepped forward to open it. After opening it, a small golden ancient tower slowly rose from within. It emitted a music like the brilliance of the stars. Zhao Yi was momentarily dazed, but quickly regained composure. He grabbed the box and quickly closed it. The magic runes on the surface of the box emitted black mist. He opened the golden box on the ground. A large amount of mist immediately gathered in midair. An angry ghost face slowly materialized in the mist. Then it released the ghostly mist and the ominous energy inside, inhaled into the mouth together. Breaking the curse of Shirshan High School and completing the side quest. Rewards will be settled after the main quest is completed. Congratulations to player Zhao Yi for obtaining a hidden item. Meanwhile, Manhwa Xiaochen in the chaotic world of Philadelphia. Vice President Yang Tao of the Horned Camp, chatting with Xiaochen. Xiaochen sat in his office, gazing out the window with a long, thoughtful look. After a moment, a knock sounded at the door. A man with a sinister smile walked in. Vice President, did you need something from me? Yang Tao gestured for Xiaochen to sit down. Let me tell you about someone, Xiaochen. Xiaochen then handed over Zhao Yi's file. After seeing Zhao Yi's name, Bar's face instantly turned serious. He came in too. Xiaochen. Xiaochen said. Yang Tao nodded in response. Yes, Bar seemed reluctant to mention this person, Manhwa said softly. Manhwa spoke to Xiaochen, but after a long silence, still spoke out. Manhwa said to Xiaochen, Vice President, you know. Manhwa said to Xiaochen, our family has a disease. Manhwa said to Xiaochen, I prefer to call it a gift. Manhwa Xiaocheng, a thirst for slaughter flows in our blood. Manhwa Xiaocheng, it has never changed, generation after generation. Manhwa Xiaocheng, because of this. Manhwa Xiaocheng, my father, Capel, became an arms dealer. His talent was the most outstanding I've ever seen. My father's shadow is behind many wars. He has killed tens of thousands of people. He is known as the King of Arms. Since I was young, surpassing him has been my lifelong goal. But it all changed. When my father met Zhao Yi, his bloodlust was cured. This is a disgrace to me. Killing is something ingrained in our genes. How can it possibly be cured? I don't accept it. That father, who was once the kingpin of arms dealing and a war criminal, suddenly, one day, he became a kind old man who spent his days fishing and playing chess. Yang Tao said calmly, so you killed your father? How much do you know about their treatment of your father? All thought for a moment. Their treatment was conducted in secret, and although they spent a long time together, the actual treatment time was very short. As for my father's bloodlust, it was probably cured within a day, maybe even within an hour. It was precisely because of this short time. Only then did I feel like my father had become a different person. Yang Tao continued to press, asking, haven't you contacted him? After hearing this, Bar's body trembled slightly. Once, I felt a sense of fear. Hearing this, Yang Tao felt somewhat strange. As a serial killer, a madman who considered himself at the top of the food chain, he actually spoke the truth of his own fear. After calming down, Bal clenched his fists tightly. Where is the vice president? Yang Tao replied, currently, it's a guild full of slackers. You know. Although this guild has few people and its development is ridiculously poor, but he paused mid-sentence. Okay, go and rest. The Mowling Tide will appear in a month. Hold back your level for now. Then perform well inside. Maybe we can make a killing in the demon spirit's nest in the end. Ball nodded and walked out the door. I understand. I will definitely wash away the family's shame if I get the chance. At this time, inside Shushan High School, Zhao Yi returned by the same secret passage. Young Lin Lin let out a sigh of relief upon seeing him. You're back. I thought you Zhao Yi said he was fine. Back. Use these experimental instruments to cut off your own rotting leg. Young Lin Lin was stunned. Cut off my own leg. The man casually picked up 2 hacksaws. He wanted to cut off his own leg without anesthesia. Throughout the entire process, he didn't blink once. This scene is really a great appetite booster. The girl beside couldn't help but start vomiting. After Zhao Yi finished all of this, he showed a relaxed expression. Alright, now I can calmly prepare to communicate with X2. Young Lin Lin was somewhat confused. The mission is already over. Why are you still risking communication with him? Zhao Yi smiled slightly and answered. There's an old saying, courtesy demands reciprocity. They laid this curse on me. If I don't return some gifts to them, it would be extremely impolite. Young Lin Lin seemed to understand something after hearing that. You mean, you want to use X2 to deal with the organization behind them? I don't think that's possible. The other side is capable of creating such a terrifying curse. The power behind them must be incredibly formidable. Can a mere riotous test subject do it? A gleam appeared in Zhao Yi's eyes. That's why I need to use his original body. To teach him something. Teach? Teach what? Zhao Yi grinned. He answered with some very commonplace Taoist knowledge. Time quickly passed. 3 days later, a moment before the main mission ended, X2 actually returned to the lab. Young Lin Lin was almost scared to death by him. She quickly pulled out her small pistol. However, the test subject completely ignored her. It went straight to Zhao Yi. Then it bowed respectfully. Young Lin Lin was stunned. Wow! He actually trained the dungeon boss like a student. This is illogical, but it happened. The 2 figures gradually faded into white light and disappeared. Meanwhile, X2's lips curved into a smile identical to Zhao Yi's. At the same time, outside Shushan High School, a large group of fully armed military officers arrived. Preliminary investigation. The curse at Shushan High School was shut down prematurely. Our instruments detected no living persons inside. Upon hearing this, the commander waved his hand. Good. Have Team A scout ahead. After entering the laboratory, report immediately in any situation. Soon, a group of armed mobile personnel probed into the interior of Shushan High School. However, they didn't know what awaited them was such a terrifying presence. At this time, Zhao Yi had been sent back to the All-City Slackers Guild building. Ding! Congratulations to player Zhao Yi on clearing the level. Score, Ghost School Horror SS. Main quest, survive 7 days in the high school. Side quest, break the high school curse. Title obtained, SS rating obtained. Item obtained, substitute doll. Pandora's box, fake. Price, T202. Solution state and a month's. Perverted old all reveal a unique perversion. But your outstanding performance and rating still brought you an extremely high score. Deleted. I wish you well, damn it, data deleted, take care of yourself. Lulu watching, wearing a light sleepwear, leaned against the doorframe. She lazily held a glass of red wine. There were many people gathered in the square, not sure what they were watching. Congratulations on successfully completing the dungeon. Zhao Yi's younger brother, your live stream has already been watched by your sister. You did a great job. Zhao Yi smiled modestly after hearing this. Not at all. It's just a simple dungeon, anyone can do it. Lu Ruqing glared at him after hearing this. You little brat, always showing off. By the way, what happened over at Sister Lu's? Why are so many people gathered around? Lu Ruqing took a sip of red wine and replied calmly. Nothing much. Someone died. You'll understand later. This kind of thing happens often. Zhao Yi curiously walked over. He passed through the crowd. He saw a bizarre corpse lying on the ground. The person's 10 fingers had all been cut off. The body was twisted into a spiral shape from head to toe, and it had been stretched out for several meters. This doesn't look like a natural death. It's caused by some strange force. Zhao Yi knelt down and turned over the victim's head. On the victim's face was a creepy and eerie smile. This scene made everyone nearby feel a chill run down their spines. Zhao Yi, however, became intensely interested. He reached out and touched many parts of the body. He found that he couldn't feel any bones at all. It must be that the killer, through the wound on the back, removed all of his bones, leaving no remains behind. Such exquisite skill suggests either a surgeon or a butcher. But judging from the bold slashes of the knife marks, it seems more likely to be a butcher. Zhao Yi observed carefully for a while, before speaking to the young girl beside him. Can I use your soda? The little girl nodded in agreement. He took it, his brow furrowed. Just soda isn't enough. Get me an egg too. A cooked one would be best. A man, after hearing this, volunteered to run back to his room to get eggs. The onlookers all became curious. What did he need the eggs and carbonated drinks for? Could they possibly be of special help in solving the case? Zhao Yi took the eggs from the people around him. He observed it with a serious expression. Then, before everyone, he stuffed the egg into his mouth. He took the carbonated drink and gulped down several mouthfuls. After drinking, he let out a satisfied burp. Then he turned around and strode away. He ate potatoes for several days in the copy. Snap. Boiled eggs are still better. The crowd watching this scene was stunned. They thought you were about to solve the case. Turns out you were just here to scam free food and drinks. Zhao Yi walked straight back to his room. After locking the door, I collapsed onto the bed. I opened my system panel. All the information and rewards were displayed. Looking at the attribute list, I felt strange. The system asked me some questions. My level increased. Why didn't my strength increase? The system explained, regarding Xiao Chen. Player level only affects which dungeons can be accessed. It doesn't increase strength. Strength attribute includes the player's constitution, self-healing, fighting spirit, and speed, among other aspects. If you want to improve your strength attribute, Manhwa Xiaochen, there are 3 ways. Manhwa Xiaochen. The first is to complete large world quests to obtain talent points, and add them to your attributes. Manhwa Xiaochen. The second is to open the intermediate market. Manhwa Xiaochen. To exchange for bloodline, ghost remnants, limbs, abilities, and cultivation techniques. Special gifts, like the one in your hand, will be obtained in the instance copy in advance. Like the one in your hand. For example, the T202 in your hand. Zhao listened and was slightly enlightened. What is that domain? Little Chen explained. The domain belongs to a specialization type, used to improve the upper limit of a certain aspect for the player. Currently, the primary fields include the spiritual field, firearms field, elemental field, and physical enhancement field. Each field is divided into 8 levels. More advanced branches are unlocked and a field reaches Level D. Regarding the field, specializing in the bone area forum, many posts have had complete analyses. It is recommended that new players who cannot view later branches of the field choose firearms. It is generally recommended that new players choose firearms if they want a specialty. To use the firearm field's cutting-edge technology, it's best to choose firearms. This field is also the most suitable for newcomers. After all, newcomers in the early stages can hardly open mid-level shops. And in low-level shops, the most destructive items are basically firearms. And the firearms field, in the end, it can even evolve into a mechanical Gundam. It can be said that although it's not overwhelmingly strong in the later stages, it's definitely not weak. Your psychic power is detected to be very high. Do you want to choose the psychic domain? The psychic domain can later evolve into telekinesis. Promotions become increasingly difficult in this field the higher you climb. But like the body enhancement field, once you reach S-class, the higher levels, strength, will completely outstrip other fields at the same level. A player can only choose one domain. Given your spiritual value, you are bound to achieve great things in the spiritual domain. Zhao Yi nodded after hearing this and said, well said. Since that's the case, I'll choose the strengthening domain. In the system's eyes, Zhao Yi is completely wasting his exceptional talent. It seems that from the moment he chose his guild, he has been wasting the great opportunities before him. Zhao Yi successfully activated the strength enhancement field. This means he can continuously improve his strength attribute through training in combat, by training and fighting. After the domain activated, his own power also reached level 8. He clenched his fists, clearly feeling an explosive surge of power. He punched the air forcefully, even hearing a faint whooshing sound. Just as he was frantically hitting the air, there suddenly came a knock on the door. Zhao Yi cautiously opened the door. There stood a simple-looking chubby boy, who was staring at the door. Hello, are you Zhao Yi, the big brother? I'll come in and say it. The chubby guy introduced himself as Fang Bai after entering the room. He's a newcomer, just like him. He's also level 3 now. The purpose of his visit is to ask Zhao Yi to take him on a large world mission. He will pay a certain number of points as a reward. Zhao narrowed his eyes and asked how many points. Fang gritted his teeth and replied, 1,000 points per person. Zhao was surprised and asked, are there others? Fang explained cautiously, it's like this. Our guild's bigwigs don't care about anything, and those in the middle are always thinking about changing jobs. So the newcomers at the bottom have very poor cohesion. They basically work independently and form cliques. More and more newcomers are joining. A chaotic group without a leader. In an environment without clear laws. It'll be chaotic. I don't need to go into details for you. In order to survive better, I had to form a small group and temporarily band together for warmth. Although the guild doesn't allow internal killings, that's only on the surface. If you really want to kill someone, there are countless ways to do it. Brother Zhao Yi, we're here to see you. On the one hand, we feel we can strengthen our team's strength. On the other hand, we hope to complete the world quest together. After all, the rewards for world quests are quite generous, and the difficulty is also high. We don't want to let others have it. Zhao Yi opened the quest details and looked at it. He was very curious. Why did I finish a dungeon and come back? But the guild's world quest is still stuck on the tutorial quest. There should be a lot of people rushing to do it. Fang Bai clenched his fists and explained. The tutorial quest for our guild is a bit ridiculous in difficulty. There have already been 6 groups working on it. There were 27 people in total. But in the end, no one survived. After listening to Fang Bai's introduction about the soup, Zhao Yi immediately became interested. So when the guy outside was doing the guiding task and lost the game, he was only left with skin and bones. Is this introductory task really that difficult? Fang Bai nodded and answered, yes. We checked the forum. The introductory tasks of other guilds, most of them are very simple. Manhwa Xiaocheng, but the rewards are basically non-existent. For a guild-led task like ours, the reward is only 3 talent points. That's a paltry amount. It's very few points. Naturally, the difficulty corresponding to such meager rewards is extraordinarily high. Zhao Yi stroked his chin. It sounds interesting. How many of you are there? When are you planning to leave? Fang Bai, seeing his agreement, quickly said. Hurriedly replied. Our current small team has 5 people, besides you and me. And there's a cute girl with a slight mental instability, Manju Xiaocheng. Tian, a beautiful former underground sex worker, Manhwa Xiaocheng. A kind and honest middle-aged uncle, Manhwa Xiaocheng. Lu Han, Manhwa Xiaocheng. As for the mission, they can set off anytime, Manhwa Xiaocheng. It just depends on when you're free, Manhwa Xiaocheng. Zhao stood up after hearing that. Then let's inform them. Let's go and check out the situation. After a brief introduction, they left the guild headquarters. They headed towards a mountain road. At the end of the road, in the mist, you can occasionally see a few figures. It's Manhwa Xiaochen. They are all players trying to complete world quests. A young man is squatting at the entrance, smoking. He looks gloomy, and there are quite a few underlings around him. Fang Bai steps forward and asks, how's the situation inside Weishan? The young man ignored him. Instead, he turned his head alertly towards Zhao Yi. Some of them had seen clips of Zhao Yi's live stream. They knew this guy was not only strong but also a bit crazy. Isn't this the top donor? What's wrong? You want a share of the spoils too? His younger brothers immediately surrounded him. Dare to snatch the boss's reward? You're really brave, kid. Zhao gave a friendly smile after hearing this. I know this reward is very generous. No one wants to yield. But have you considered? This is just a guiding mission. There are more missions and rewards to come. If everyone gets stuck here, then no one will get anything later on. Get rich together or starve together. This sentence caused a subtle shift in many people's attitudes. Xiang Weishan thought it made sense, so he nodded in agreement. If you want to go, I'll give you a chance. Many people have already died inside. It's for your own good. I can tell you some rules of the clown game in advance. The rules of the game. The clown game. At least 3 people are needed to enter the game. Play rock paper scissors with him. 1 person at a time, 10 rounds each. Both players' hands will be covered with black cloth before showing their hand, so you can't peek. The loser has to cut off a finger for each loss. Win 3 times within 10 rounds to win the game. If this person fails to win 3 times, they will be thrown into the storage room behind the clown. I don't know what terrifying things are inside, but no one who entered has ever come out. The previous player who played rock paper scissors with the clown lost and was killed. The next player will be the last one in the game. Continue playing rock paper scissors with the clown, and reset the entire game score to start over. In addition, we also discovered that the clown's 3rd round of rock paper scissors and 6th round of rock paper scissors are fixed. He will use scissors and paper. Fang Bai curiously asked if, following this pattern, his 9th or 10th time, it's also very likely to be fixed rock paper scissors. 3 wins would be enough. Why are you guys still? I haven't completed the task yet. Xiang Weishan let out a derisive chuckle. He looked at him as if he were an idiot. So you're willing to risk your life to try the fixed rock paper scissors game later, to work for someone else's benefit? Fang Bai fell silent after hearing this. Indeed, if the previous trial and error showed hope, and encouraged others to try, then the last trial and error would find no one willing to attempt it. People are selfish. Why should I take the beating while others enjoy the candy? Zhao Yi smiled faintly, feeling that these words were pointless. Let's go in and take a look. Upon hearing this, Xiang Weishan signaled for his underlings to clear a path. After a few of them entered the station, a young man with a nose ring asked in confusion, Big brother, did you tell them the wrong thing? I remember the Joker always uses the same moves in rock paper scissors. It's not scissors and paper. A sharp glint flashed in Xiang Weishan's eyes. What do you know? Who do you think Zhao Yi is? The former number 1 on the newcomer list was in front of the guild hall. Didn't you notice Lu Ruching? Didn't you see the way that bitch looked at him? As long as that kind of person is alive, do you think the guild leaders will let us rise? The young man beside him suddenly understood. Big brother is so wise. Let me light it for you. His look towards Xiang Weishan held a hint of fear. Xiang Weishan, that guy, is truly a perverted murderer. He's so sinister. It's good that Zhao Yi is dead. One less person to compete with us for rewards and women. Those wealthy women in the guild are both strong and beautiful. If I could ever get close to Fang Zhe in the future, wouldn't I be soaring to success? A pungent smell of blood filled the darkness. Severed fingers lay scattered on the ground. Ziji approached Zhao Yi. He reminded him, Brother Zhao, that guy's eyes were off earlier. I think he might have lied. Zhao Yi replied that he knew. Seeing that he understood, Bai Shuiji said no more. Several people walked towards the nearby Clever Ghost General Store. A clown with comical makeup waved to them. May I ask if you're here to buy something? Are you here to play a game? Zhao Yi asked, her hand resting on the counter. What are the benefits of playing games? The clown ghost excitedly began to explain, saying, Manhwa Xiaochen. Manhwa Xiaochen, my dear guests. If you are willing to play a game of rock paper scissors with me, Manhwa Xiaochen, and in 0 rounds of rock paper scissors, you won 3 times, then I will forever provide you with everything for free. Unlimited supply of all goods in the general store. Zhao nodded after listening. But what if I lose? The clown showed a creepy smile. If you lose, then you'll have to pay a small price. After all, a game without stakes is no fun at all. Then he introduced the rules of the game to them. The group found it was the same as Xiang Weishan's description. The clown continued, adding, I also want to emphasize to everyone, Little Morning. Little Morning, don't try to kill me. Or cut off my fingers, Little Morning. Little Morning, during the game to forcibly break the rules. Otherwise the clown paused here, Little Morning. He pointed towards the storage room. Xia Chen, countless terrifying eyes inside were staring deathly at everyone. Seeing this, several people were instantly terrified, but the girl named Tian remained unmoved. The participants who win the game. You can gain 3 talent points. Those who team up and enter the game together, but those who don't have the chance to participate, will receive 1 talent point. If you're sure you want to team up and participate in the game, please come and sit at the round table in the shop. Our game is about to begin. After hearing him, Zhao strode inside. The girl, Tian, followed without hesitation. The remaining 3, Fang Bai and the others, were somewhat. This game takes place within the guild's territory. If we lose, it means complete death, no resurrection. But if Zhao Yi wins, they'll get a little talent for free. This stuff is precious, especially in the early stages. Every point of strength brings a noticeable improvement. It's clearly visible. To go or not to go, this is a problem. Bai Shuiji gritted her teeth and ultimately chose to stay behind. Damn it, I'm going to give it a shot. A woman like me has to establish herself in this place. That definitely requires investment. Besides, I've already given all 000 points. Wouldn't it be a huge loss if we didn't go? Fang Bai and Lu Han exchanged a glance, then made up their minds. Damn it, let's go for it. Whether I'll be the boss or the lackey depends on this one time. Seeing that 5 people had entered, the clown chuckled, my dear guests, please have a seat. Let's turn on the TV to liven things up a bit. Speaking of which, he took out the remote and turned on the monitor. It was showing the previous players who participated in the game. Their gruesome deaths for violating the rules. Their ear-piercing screams sent chills down one's spine. The mental state of the other 3 was slowly declining. Zhao Yi and Tian's mental states remained unchanged. The Joker then issued an invitation. Now, who wants to play with me first? Zhao Yi smiled slightly and raised his hand. Mr. Joker, I'll play with you. Let the games begin. With a sweep of the clown's arm, the others were manipulated into taking a step back, leaving only Zhao Yi facing him, seated opposite him at the round table. For the next 3 minutes, you can discuss amongst yourselves, to decide what hand gesture to play. After you've decided, you can place your hand inside the black bag in front of you. Then the machine will open the bags at the same time. Manhwa Xiaocheng, of course, I can assure you all, that there are no monitoring devices inside the bags. Manhwa Xiao, Manhwa Chen, I don't even bother with these things. Zhao Yi nodded after hearing this, I believe you. Then he turned to look at Fang Bai beside him and spoke. What do I contribute? Fang Bai was stunned for a few seconds, not responding. Manhwa Xiaochen, are you asking me? Zhao Yi looked at him, smiled slightly, and said, yes, I'm asking you, Manhwa Xiaochen. Manhwa Xiaochen, asking for external assistance right from the start. This isn't like Zhao Yi's style, Ji Xiaochen. Could he have some special meaning? Such as, to confuse the opposing side. After a moment's hesitation, he hesitated and said, I told you. If you lose, don't blame me. Zhao nodded and replied, of course. Fang Bai then gritted his teeth and softly said, scissors, comic talk, Xiaochen. Comic talk, Xiaochen. Zhao immediately reached into the black cloth. Comic talk, Xiaochen. The clown gestured for himself to step out. The clown chuckled, let's see, Xiaochen. He also put his hand into the black cloth. The mechanical arm above slowly descended, gently grasping the black cloth in both their hands. Both have thrown their punches. Time to reveal the answer. The moment the words left his mouth, the robotic arm suddenly lifted. Zhao Yi's was scissors, while the clown's was a stone. "I'm sorry, sir, you seem to have been a little unlucky," the clown said. Then he pushed the cutting machine in front of his opponent. Seeing this, Zhao Yi didn't say anything, and directly put his left index finger into the cutting machine. The next second, a flash of blood appeared. The finger that had been with him for over 20 years had said goodbye to him. The others behind him were all dumbfounded. Zhao Yi's face showed no signs of panic whatsoever. He turned his head again and smiled slyly as he looked at Fong Bai. He asked, "What should I play for the second round?" Fong Bai dared not speak any further. He quickly waved his hand, signaling Zhao Yi to decide for himself. Zhao Yi nodded and smiled after hearing this. "Then I'll play rock." The clown's self-light is filled with intense interest. "This man seems different from my previous targets. He gives me a feeling of unease. I'm curious. What kind of threat could he possibly pose to me?" Round 2 results. Zhao Yi sure, stone, clown, boo. Zhao Yi was willing to bet and accept the loss. Once again, he cut off his own finger. The others present were immediately stunned and frozen in place. From start to finish, Zhao Yi showed no signs of emotional fluctuation. It was clear he never intended to win in the first 2 rounds. Clown. His eyes flickered with an extremely faint red light. The Joker is a trigger-type neutral. If you play a game with him, if you lose, you die. Unless he can't beat you. His weakness isn't obvious. Known ability, he possesses clairvoyance when his eyes are still. This is the Joker's data. Zhao Yi understood. He can always perfectly predict others. Rock paper scissors isn't about guessing at all. It's about cheating with his own abilities. But to win the game, what needs to be done isn't to expose him, but instead use this point to force him into a corner. Now we're already in the 3rd round. According to Xiang Weishan's information, the Joker will definitely play scissors this time. But his information may not be reliable. If this time proves that what Xiang Weishan said is true, then the probability of winning will greatly increase. But if it's a fake, it'll be dangerous. Zhao Yi didn't rush to play rock paper scissors. Instead, he stared at the clown opposite him and asked, "Mr. Clown, someone told me when you arrived that you would play scissors in the 3rd round. Is it true?" The Joker chuckled after hearing that. "Originally, I wasn't supposed to tell you the rules of this game, but I really like you, so I can reveal a little bit to you. I'll use the same hand gestures in the 3rd and 6th rounds, but I can't tell you what they are." Zhao nodded in response, knowing this is enough. Then the 2 of them put their arms back into the black cloth. Everyone held their breath, their eyes fixed on the stage. They were so nervous. They could even hear their own heartbeats. The robotic arm slowly descended and clamped down on 2 pieces of black cloth. Suddenly, the cloths were pulled up sharply. The clown chose cloth, while Zhao Yi chose scissors. Finally, we won a round. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The Joker seemed very happy. He stuck his finger into the cutting machine. "Congratulations, Zhao Yi. But it seems, that guy outside seems to have deceived you." Zhao Yi smiled benignly after hearing this. "Yes, I will definitely retaliate. I will repay him." The clown looked him up and down with interest. Xiao Cheng, narration. "Are you so sure you can walk out of here alive?" Zhao Yi shook his head and asked rhetorically. Xiao Cheng, narration. "Then how are you so sure Manhwa Xiao Cheng can't leave here alive?" Manhwa Xiao Cheng. "Mr. Joker, you seem to enjoy gambling, don't you?" Manhwa Xiao Cheng. "Then how about Manhwa Xiao Cheng? We add a new element of fun to this game." Manhwa Xiao Cheng. Hearing this, the Joker hesitated for a moment. Manhwa Xiao Cheng. "What fun, Little Chen's comic strip. Let's talk about that later." Next, the 2 continued playing rock paper scissors, Little Chen's comic strip. Zhao Yi lost the 4th round, Little Chen's comic strip. The clown lost the 6th round, Little Chen's comic strip. Zhao Yi lost the 7th and 8th rounds. Zhao Yi lost the 9th round again. Manhwa Xiaochen. "It's the final round now." Manhwa Xiaochen. The clown showed a regretful smile. "Mr. Zhao, it seems you made a mistake in choosing which finger to cut. With the fingers you have left Manhwa Xiaochen, he can only choose scissors or rock now." Manhwa Xiao. The person behind, by Shuiji, doesn't understand what it means. Manyu Xiaozeng. Fong Bai then started to explain. If Brother Zhao leaves 3 fingers on his right hand, Manhwa Xiaochen, he can still choose paper. But now, when he spreads his fingers, it's scissors. Holding a finger is a fist. He lost the option of cloth. According to the rules, if 2 people continuously play rock paper scissors 3 times in a row, the clown will be declared the winner. This means, next, the Joker just needs to throw 3 punches in a row, and Zhao Yi will surely lose. But strangely, Zhao Yi, knowing his situation, remained completely calm. "Mr. Joker, do you remember what I just said? Want to add some fun to this game?" The Joker replies, "Of course I remember. This is your last game. If you have any ideas that don't break the rules, and add to the fun of the game, bring them up. I will after the game ends let you choose your preferred way to die." Zhao Yi said meaningfully, "Let's make a bet." Bet that I will win the next game. This bet has a condition. I want you to close your eyes. If I win, you owe me a favor. Do something within your ability for me. If I lose, not only will my life be yours, I will also give you this. Zhao Yi said as he took out the Pandora's box. Of course, I'm just kidding. Although the demons inside have been cleared by the system, I'm just kidding. But many demons still like its craftsmanship. Seeing this box, a glint of possessiveness flashed in the Joker's eyes. In his opinion, he absolutely had to have this thing. After a moment of silence, he slowly spoke, no problem. Mr. Zhao, I'm willing to make this bet with you. Zhao Yi knocked on the table. He spoke. You can open your eyes after the black cloth is lifted. Any questions? The clown shook his head, indicating that he was fine. In his opinion, with his ability of clairvoyance, he could never lose. Well, Mr. Joker, please go ahead and make your fist first. Please put your hand into the cloth and close your eyes. Upon hearing this, the Joker hesitated for no moment. He closed his eyes and immediately made a fist. Then he placed his hand inside the cloth. Zhao Yi then took action as well. After waiting for a few seconds, Zhao Yi smiled slightly and said, I'm ready too. Please unveil the black cloth on your machine. The clown then snapped his fingers, and the mechanical arm suddenly reached downward. The Joker slowly opens his eyes, but the smile remains frozen on his face. Zhao Yi's palm is fully open, but shockingly, there are no fingers. This results in a torn fabric-like appearance. This sight sends a chill down the spines of several teammates. Zhao Yi raised his arm and shook it a few times. Sorry, Mr. Clown, I won. He cut off his own finger. Strictly speaking, that's cheating, but it didn't violate the rules of the game. The clown didn't speak at this time. He sat there in silence. The atmosphere grew heavy. After a long while, he slowly put his finger into the cutting machine. After a sharp crack, his finger was severed. The crowd's expressions were filled with excitement. This meant he admitted that he had lost. Mr. Zhao, I want to know, when did you start plotting against me? Zhao Yi shrugged. The answer is when I cut my third finger. As everyone knows, rock paper scissors is a game of chance. Since it's a game of chance, there can't be an undefeated champion. You can't keep winning against me. Clearly, you must have your own cheating method. I guessed it was some kind of peeking. At that moment, I suddenly understood. To beat you one last time, I have to set a trap, to strip away your ability to see through me, and to guide you into making predictable choices in rock paper scissors. I have to say, Mr. Zhao, your tactics were truly brilliant. This is the most interesting game of rock paper scissors I've ever played. I will keep my promise. From now on, this general store will forever be free for you and your union, with unlimited supplies of everything inside. Also, after you leave the general store, I will play by the rules. Master Zhao received 3 talent points. Everyone else got 1 talent point each. Little Chen's rambling. After hearing this, everyone excitedly clenched their fists. This time, I really made a killing. I'll add the talent points to strength later. That will allow for a comprehensive improvement in my martial arts. The Joker bowed deeply in front of Zhao Yi. Mr. Zhao Yi, I owe you a personal favor. If there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. Zhao Yi smiled slightly. Actually, I have a question for you, Joker. Do you know anything about the butcher shop on the 2nd floor? The Joker's smile faded as he listened. Joker, please. There's a madman living there. He talks nonsense. He's not as rule-abiding as I am. Does he have something he wants to do? The butcher is looking for his daughter. Then, within a 10-meter radius of this area at the station, a notification appeared in the eyes of everyone in the guild, within a 1-meter radius. Congratulations to Team Zhao 1 for successfully unlocking the full area of the guild's new scene. The grocery store is in a safe zone. Players are immune to damage in the safe zone. WC, someone actually unlocked the grocery store. Are this year's new players really that amazing? That idiot, even the clown was taken out by him. Your mom, that newcomer, is on this year's newcomer list. No wonder he's so awesome. Outside the station, Wei Shan stared at the general store inside. His face was incredibly cold. He clenched his fists tightly. He couldn't understand why Zhao Yi didn't die. He had clearly given him the wrong information. Why did he still win? Did he see through his plan? After a moment of hesitation, he called over a subordinate. He then whispered a few words in his ear. The subordinate nodded and bowed. He headed towards the distant crowd. Zhao Yi and the others came out of the general store. His finger was still bleeding profusely. Seeing this, Bai Shueji said, Brother Zhao, shouldn't we head back to the guild headquarters now? Your hand injury is serious. Whether it's injuries from world quests, or injuries sustained in dungeons, they can all be healed at the guild hall. Zhao Yi didn't care about the wound on his hand. He gazed at the darkness on the 2nd floor in the distance, somewhat eager to try. We're already here. Let's not rush back. Let's unlock the butcher shop first. Then, several people walked towards the butcher shop. Having tasted the sweetness of the clown game, they had more confidence in Zhao Yi. Naturally, they were willing to follow Zhao Yi. But as Zhao Yi headed for the elevator to the 2nd floor, he was blocked by more than a dozen players. Zhao Yi, you've already completed a game, and received your reward. Shouldn't this task be left for others? Hearing the provocative tone of little green hair, Fong Bai's chubby face was full of viciousness. You won't go yourself, but you won't let us go either. As everyone knows, more people die in the butcher game than in the clown game. The green-haired brat smugly said, I'm doing this for your own good. Bai Shuiji immediately cursed angrily upon hearing this. Bullshit. I know what you're thinking. You're just afraid we'll complete this mission, and become much stronger than you. Lu Mao isn't someone to be trifled with either. Enraged, he immediately pulled out a dagger from his pocket. Stop saying useless things. I'm just not letting you pass today, so what are you going to do about it? Zhao Yi pointed a finger at green hair. You know what? I can kill you with just one finger. Zhao Yi's brilliant smile instantly broke Lu Mao's defenses. Where does that leave his face? F********. He angrily rushed over, to teach the other party a lesson. But he didn't know. The opponent's power had already reached 21 points. Zhao Yi used a swift, graceful step to arrive before the green-haired man. Turning, bending, he landed an elbow strike to his liver, immediately following with a Lushan Shenglumba, a move name. Precisely using his fingers, it poked into the green-haired one's nostril. Wen's room. The green-haired one felt a strange and wonderful sensation. Sweet, sour, bitter, and spicy surged through his heart at that moment. It was like his beloved grandmother from his childhood, holding a basin of feces and trying to feed him. Zhao Yi immediately threw him far away. His large nostrils suddenly felt an unprecedented emptiness. A sharp pain spread from his nasal cavity all the way to his brain. Zhao Yi looked at his two blood-stained fingers. He immediately felt a little nauseous. Unable to bear it, he wiped it on the nearby side of his own clothes. Fong Bai was stunned for a moment, then immediately jumped up. Such a disgusting thing. How could you wipe it on me? I have tissues. Zhao Yi chuckled. It's okay, I've already wiped it clean. Meanwhile, Bai Shuiji urged the others to quickly move out of the way. We're all in the same guild. Even if you can stop us from doing the guide quest now, can you stop us for the rest of our lives? Those blocking the way ahead began to have second thoughts, but the order from above forced them to grit their teeth and hold back. Zhao Yi, stop your fucking nonsense. If you don't want to die, get the hell out of here. Otherwise, I'll break your legs, and feed you to the butcher's ghost for his meat shop. Fong Bai, hearing this, was about to rush forward and fight, but at that moment, a voice reached everyone's ears. What's going on here? Shi Xiaocheng. Zhao Yi and the others turned to look. Shi Xiaocheng. They saw Xiang Weishan walking towards them with a group of people. Seeing this, Fong Bai and the others immediately felt a little nervous. If Xiang Weishan and these people teamed up, if they deal with us, we're really finished. But then, Xiang Weishan's actions surprised everyone. He unexpectedly stood up righteously and pointed at the people blocking the way. How can you do things like this? He doesn't do it himself, nor does he let others do it. When the other party saw so many people from the Wei Mountain, they immediately backed down, apologizing. Sorry, Brother Shan. We'll leave right away. Zhao Yi, don't be afraid. I'll take you to the butcher's game. They didn't dare stop you. Hearing this, Bai Shuiji instantly felt a little disgusted. Those people just now were clearly arranged by Wei Shan. First, he sent people to start trouble. Then he came out to resolve it, and thus the grudges. Then you can smoothly join our team. She wants to have it both ways, be a bitch and maintain a good reputation. She tugged at Zhao Yi's sleeve, trying to remind him. Zhao Yi didn't seem to notice. He was deeply moved and reached out his hand. Come with us, big brother. They complement each other perfectly. Xiang Weishan was instantly delighted at the sight. This Zhao Yi is so easy to fool. The others exchanged glances. Big brother Zhao seems to believe it. What should Xiang Weishan do? We must always be on guard against this sly and cunning guy. Then, the group arrived at the butcher's warehouse. As soon as the door was pushed open, a nauseating stench of blood hit them immediately. There were many human remains hanging on the hooks. On the floor, there were decapitated heads that had already been skinned. These scenes are a reminder to everyone that the butcher is an extremely dangerous figure. A tall figure is swinging a cleaver in his hand, seemingly hacking at people's legs in a frenzy. Zhao Yi walks over with a smile on his face. Hello, butcher. We're players here to participate in the game. Hearing this, the butcher stopped what he was doing. He glanced at them with his devilish eyes. My game has 3 parts. The first is to deliver takeout for me. I happen to have a few customer orders here. The one with the fastest speed wins. The winner will receive a bowl of soup from my exclusive collection. As for the loser the butcher suddenly smiled as he spoke. That laughter was so terrifying it almost made several people's skulls crack open. Secondly, go to the kitchen and cook a dish for me. If I'm satisfied, you pass the game. If I'm not satisfied, then I will personally teach you how to cook. The third game is to go to the 100 Burial Valley deep in the barren mountains. Help me collect ingredients. What game do you guys want to play? Zhao said he needed a moment. He said he needed to discuss it. Having said that, he looked at the others behind him. Which one should we choose? Fong Bai hesitated for a moment. How about we go complete the second game? We can help each other without having to fight. The second game. Xiang Weishan smiles faintly. Is it good or not? There's no clear judgment on this. Look at this butcher's appearance. Can you tell what his tastes are? Besides, if he really wants us dead, then this is simply an impossible game to win. Fong frowned. In your opinion, what mission do you want to undertake? A meaningful smile appeared at the corner of Wei Shan's mouth. Of course, the first task is the easiest. It's just about delivering the dishes quickly. If someone is slow, they can only blame themselves, not others. This won't do, it's too advantageous for you. Not only are you physically strong, I've also learned a lot of close quarters combat. I'm sure you'll finish faster. And you can totally have your men stop others after the mission begins. He shrugged indifferently to Wei Shan. Why do you have to think of me so badly? You insist on thinking so poorly of me. I can't do anything either. Bai Shuiji looked at Zhao Yi anxiously, hoping he could come up with an idea. Zhao Yi glanced at Xiang Wei Shan meaningfully, and said, I think what Big Brother Xiang said makes a lot of sense. Let's just play the first game. Delivering food is not bad either. In such a cruel world,